All right, welcome to the Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight, episode 40 something. Numbers are irrelevant. Don't remember anymore. But Emerld's here today. Hello, welcome.
Hey man, it's good to be here. How are you?
I'm good. Ready to talk about speed running. Good topic of
Absolutely.
conversation. Love that
Heck yeah. What do you want to
hobby.
start with?
Start. Let's see. Maybe the very beginning. That's a good place, right?
Of course, yeah.
So, when did you begin your journey here?
Dude, okay. So I guess for me, speedrunning started like when I first saw it, it was in like I want to say like 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. I feel like a lot of people saw Narcissa Wright's first run, like big GDQ run of OOT. That was like the first thing that I saw of like speedrunning wise, and I was like, whoa, this is like such an interesting like way to play games. And then I made my way over to Twitch eventually. Funny enough, not from speedrunning, from Call of Duty YouTube, because I used to be like super into like sniping and trick shotting in Call of Duty and stuff like that. But when I first made it onto Twitch, the first stream that like I saw, I think on like my homepage or whatever, was Worcester. And it was almost like another sign. It was just like, hey, look at this speedrunning thing. You should like go try this thing. And so like after watching Worcester for like a little bit, I like kind of branched out and was like, okay, let me look at specific games that I want to watch. And that led me to Sonic Adventure 2, which is how I found Talon. Talon is like one of the most known Sonic Adventure 2 speedrunners. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this one day. And then I continued to not do it because I just didn't have any, I didn't have the resources really to do it. You know, like I didn't have like a PC or anything to like capture gameplay or anything like that. So I ended up being a spectator of speedrunning for a while. And then I watched like Fire Dragon for a while, do Luigi's Mansion and Sunshine. But eventually I made my way back in 2016, which is when I finally got my first PC to like actually start speedrunning. And then the funny part about that is I didn't start speedrunning Sonic Adventure 2 right away. The first game I speedran was actually Star Fox Zero, which is such a goofy speedrun. But that is basically the start of my journey, is in like 2016. And then I've had like an on and off relationship with speedrunning until COVID happened, when I made like streaming my kind of like main thing. And I went like all in on speedrunning and stuff like that.
Sounds good. So, yeah, is Star Fox Zero is that Wii U or which?
Yep, that's the Wii U one.
Got it. Yeah,
Dude,
my Star Fox
such a
knowledge
good
is
game.
limited.
Huh?
My Star Fox knowledge is very limited, so I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's
think
super
about it.
fair. You know, it's very on rails. It's like not really a game you can play. Like, there's not much to make faster except for like arena fights that happen. And the main like speedrun part of that game is just optimizing those arena fights to be faster, because that's the only thing that's not like on a like set course for like how fast you can go. But that game ended up becoming like kind of not the best. I mean, nobody runs it right now for a really good reason. Because of that, one, there's not much to like make it better, but two, the optimal strats now are all lag reduction strats, where you go into first person mode in the R-Wing and just like look up the whole time while you're on the on rails track. So it's not even like a visually like appealing speedrun either.
Wow.
So
I wouldn't think that the Wii U would lag in that way, I guess.
yeah, it only like saves like that's the thing though, is it doesn't lag like that. It only lags like very little, but still the lag reduction strat saves time. Like it saves like enough time that like it's worth doing it throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, it sounds thrilling.
Dude, and not to mention the last boss fight of the game, spoilers, it's Andross. I mean, it's a like spiritual successor to Star Fox 64 or whatever. But Andross is the most RNG heavy fight in the run, and it's the last fight. There is an attack that he does where he like shoots like laser beam eyes at you and he spins in a circle. Completely random. Nobody played it enough to know if I guess we could like manip it or not, but if it happens, that's just 20 seconds gone. So, and with a game that's like as short as Star Fox Zero, with such little room to like make it faster, if you get laser eyes, GG. your run's just done. You just wasted the last like 30 minutes of your life, and now you have to do it again because your run's it's not gonna be like a competing top time if he does that attack.
So mainly auto-scrolling game where you have to look up the whole time,
Yep.
and there's a huge RNG swing at the very end. Sounds
Yep.
awesome.
Dude, best speed game ever. And that's why that game died.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think so I ran it when it first came out, which I think was like one of the big contributing factors as to why I ran it first. And it didn't take me very long to stop. It was only like a few months in of running the game, and then like dude, it was really funny too. There was this guy who came out of nowhere, didn't submit any times, wasn't sharing strats with anybody, and just got world record by like a minute. And we were like, what? Where did this guy come from? And then like it killed everybody's motivation for the game though, because the guy was still like, he was not very like receptive with like trying to like help out people, which was like chill. Like I don't really care personally. I know some other people were like a little bit butthurt about it, but like that was just another like nail in the coffin. It was just like, all right, this game's done now. Like I don't think we could make it any faster. So
Yeah, very interesting. Definitely doesn't sound like the best for speedrunning at all, but
no, but that's why I abandoned ship and eventually was like, all right, now it's time to try Sonic Adventure 2. So
now that game
a way
I've heard
better
is very good for speedrunning.
Yes, dude, it's such a it's an amazing speed game. I could talk about that forever, but we'll get there when we get there, I guess, if you want to continue to God.
Sounds like that's what's next. So, my knowledge of that is just the Summoning Salt video from a few years back. I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, this is cool. But, you know, that only tells you so much about how the game works. And now that's been a few years now, so I'm sure things have changed. So I'm interested in how that game works.
Yeah. We can just talk about, I guess, the game itself first if you want, and then like kind of branch out. So Sonic Adventure 2 is obviously 3D platformer. Most of the stages in the game are get from point A to point B. Pretty simple. Except for the treasure hunting stages, which are like either the Knuckles stages or the Rouge stages, which are RNG. And that creates a lot of variance in the run, but it's so interesting to talk about the RNG in Sonic Adventure 2 because it's like it has a large effect on how like runs play out. It's very like you need good RNG at top level, but it's so unique in the sense that like it feels good to execute because what'll happen is the way that the hints work in Sonic Adventure 2, the first hint will lead you to the piece always, but sometimes the same hint can be in like two different locations. So what ends up happening, and also, by the way, there are pieces that are out in the open that you can see ahead of time. So you can only get like the pieces in order, like for like the hints. The game only gives you like, you know, hint 1, hint 2, hint 3 for each of the pieces. But you can get the pieces out of order if you see them or if you know where to look for them. So then it creates this whole depth of like looking for free pieces that are out in the open. There is a number of sets when you like for the first load of the game. There's 1024. So if you get really good in some stages, you can memorize the 1024 sets and know that if I get this piece and this piece, oh, it's guaranteed to be this piece. So then you like you do like routing on the fly, and the movement is so tight and it feels really good. It's like I mean, it's a 60 FPS game. It flows like butter. And the Knuckles / Rouge stages, the treasure hunting stages, are the most like open-ended stages because you're not like going on a set path, you know, the whole time. So although the RNG factor is really annoying, it's also some of the best RNG I think that exists in any speed game. In terms of like actually playing it and executing it and stuff. But anyways, so there that breaks us down into the 3 play styles. So obviously I just talked about treasure hunting, but there's the speed characters, Sonic and Shadow, which everyone mostly knows, and then the mech characters, which is Eggman and Tails. And speed characters are just, I mean, that's what most people play the game for. They flow really well. They're really like they feel slippery and stuff, I think, when you first play the game, but like the more you play them and get a handle on them, the better they feel. Kind of similar to like how I would like put it in the same realm as like Mario and Mario 64. Where like Mario and Mario 64 kind of feels awful when you're first playing the game, but like once you start to understand the mechanics and like get used to like buffer kicks and like actually maintaining momentum and like starting to do like jump dives and stuff like that, like once that all starts to click, it feels like a million times better.
It's
Um
so nice.
it is so nice, dude. It's like I don't know, it's both of those games, Mario 64 and SA2, there's like I would put them in the same like part of my brain that just like this is the feel good of speedrunning. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah,
like this is what makes me feel happy when I'm playing games like this. Um and then there's the mech stages. The mech stages are just like kind of weird. They're very unintuitive. You have to like carry momentum, but you have to do so in like kind of strange ways with like specific jumps, and like the whole goal is to like basically be moving forward the whole time. But with the way that like camera angles like change and stuff very sharply in the game, you have to memorize where camera triggers are so that you're ready to like go from like up right to up left while still maintaining that momentum. um if you turn any further than 45 degrees, um you lose all of your speed unless you jump. So that's why like you have to like memorize like the jump timings and stuff like that. But mech in its own way, like mech is like my best, like one of the three, I guess, out of like all of the three characters. um it becomes seamless, just like the other ones. It just takes, I feel like, it's the most unintuitive, so it takes the most time to learn. But
Yeah.
overall, because the game has like so many play styles, it has like a bunch of depth. um and it makes it like a super super dope, and I think a little bit underrated of a speed game.
Yeah, it definitely looks visually appealing, and I can't speak on the like movement side of things, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
way
think
it
that's another thing.
flows looks good.
Yeah, that's a great thing about it, is that like the game is also visually fast. You
Hmm.
know, I
Yeah.
think unfortunately some speed games, like even though you are playing like out of your mind in some like speed games, like it just doesn't look as fast. But like luckily for SA2, it does have that.
Hmm. Yeah, you can just tell like it's made for speed. Like it's a Sonic game. That's the point. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
works
yeah.
very well, and it's 3D, so you got all this crap you can do with it. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely very
Absolutely.
cool, visually appealing for sure. So cool game, cool game. I've never played it. I know,
You
but
haven't played it,
I
dude? What are
know.
you doing, man?
I
It's
know.
so fun. Well, okay, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say casually might not be the best, but
Hmm.
I still hold firm that it's like one of the like best speed games to exist.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think games can not be fun at all and still make amazing speedruns. So
Mm.
yeah, that's definitely true. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of games I just haven't played. That just happens to be one of them. Never had a GameCube, so that's part of it.
Mm.
But yeah. No, actually, no, I played City Escape at a friend's house like 15 years ago. I do remember that. But
That's the most iconic stage
yeah, I know.
by far.
Yeah, like
It's
I have the
I,
song memorized in my head. Like I know it. Don't worry. But yeah, I've just never like actually played it.
yeah. When I was a kid, like, see, for me, like I played it like most of my life. I would have said that like Sonic Adventure 2 is like my favorite video game for like a pretty long time, and it's still up there. I just don't like, you obviously know speedrunning brain rot, the way
Hmm.
that like once you start speedrunning a game, it like kind of changes your perspective of the game like in your head a little bit. Like, and like I feel like I've played other games now that like casually I enjoyed more than SA2. Um but yeah, I started playing the game when I was like 6 years old. So I like would wake up in the morning and I would like play City Escape like 20 times, and then like I'd go to like the sound test menu and sing along to the Sonic songs that were on there.
That's pretty base.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be that nostalgia factor. And I mean, that's usually how people start off speedrunning too. They play their like childhood favorite game.
Hmm.
So, I mean, Mario 1's the first game I ever beat, so now
Hmm.
that's what I do. That's just how it usually goes. Not
Yeah,
the
it makes
same
a
for
lot of sense.
everyone, but yeah, it's a good like way to get into it is, oh, here's a game I love. There's really no reason to play it over and over again. Here's an excuse that makes perfect sense now. There you go.
Speedrunning is such a beautiful thing because it's just like the ultimate replayability goal, you know?
Yep.
If you really enjoy a single player game and you're looking for more excuses to play it, then speedrunning is obviously just the best thing to do, I think.
It'll give you the most replay value.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. But yeah, so again, all I know about SA2 from speedrunning really is the Summoning Salt video from a few years back. And I'm sure a lot has changed, but I know like some of the skips in that game are just really interesting.
You know, I would say, funny enough, it hasn't changed as much as you would think. Like, there's definitely some different strats and stuff like that that have like come up since that video. I'm trying to remember if this is legitimately a trick name, by the way. I'm not trying to get you. If Bofa was a thing back then, I don't think it was. But we do have a trick called Bofa that was found in like, I want to say it was like 2018 or something like that. So I think that is past when that video came out. I don't remember because I just remember the Summoning Salt video is a little bit old now. But that trick saves a shit ton of time. It saves like 40 seconds. Wow. And in a game like that, it's that's an insane trick. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Summoning Salt also focused on hero story, which is that's the category that I play. I don't really play much dark story, but there was a big dark story skip that was found too in the last like few years where we like skipped the entirety of the last shadow level. And I forget exactly how much, like, because I didn't play much dark story before that skip was found. I don't remember how much time that trick saves, but it's insane. You just basically like jump off the starting rail and like if you just like crouch on the rails in that game, you speed up, but when you spawn in, you can just like hold B with neutral sticking while you're on the rail because you spawn on the rail. And you go to like a certain frame on the timer, and then you jump off at an angle with skewed gravity, and you fly around, like you take like a big turn with skewed gravity and go above a kill plane, and then you turn back around back towards the stage, and then just like fly towards the goal ring. Very similar to how the trick is done with Final Rush skip, which is Sonic's last level in Hero Story. Same idea, but the trick is a lot harder in Dark Story because it's a little bit more precise. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. So KD4 is still the GOAT. She was the person who was you know, getting the last record before the Summoning Salt video. Funny story actually about Katie is so that video came out, she got the record. It showed that she got the record.
Like 4 hours
Katie
later.
then what's up?
Like 4 hours later.
Yeah, no, actually, no. Literally the next day, like the day the video came out, or like the day after, or something like that, Katie got record again.
Yeah, it was like that night or something. Maybe like the midnight went over or something. It was ridiculous. It was a few hours.
It was nuts. And it made it really funny.
We
were all laughing about that the whole time. But not much has changed because like Katie is still the GOAT. Like she's just I promise you that like a lot of us try to compete. Funny enough, Aiden actually just rated, and Aiden is one of the only people who's been able to like come close to trying to compete with Katie. He's he's insanely cracked. I mean, I don't remember exactly the timeline of when Aiden started playing, but he's like more of a newer player that like is just really good at games and just like got good super quick and was able to like be at that top echelon. And then only in the last like year, I think, like he really pushed himself to like go higher above that, and now has like a time that's like, funny enough, I think it's still like 30 or 40 seconds off of Katie, but even like that is still impressive to us because like Sonic Adventure 2 is an extremely difficult game, and it's kind of embarrassing that Katie is just so high above like everybody else. Like if I look at the leaderboards right now for SA2, I believe so she has a 2053 in Hero Story. Now Aiden has a 2135 as second place. And then if you go down, recently Flubler just got a 2148. But then you get to like this area of like 4th to 10th. We're all in like the 22.0x area, and that's where I'm at. I'm at 22.06. I'm 7th place.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are like right around the same skill level, and then something about Katie, she just knows the game way better than us. Like our hands just can't function in the same way. I don't know how she does it. She's just that good. And we try, man. I've put 4,000 something hours into the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice that we have that like tracking ability with Steam and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a hard game, man. It's just a hard game. She's still the GOAT. So basically not much has changed except for like a couple of like big skips that like, yeah, I guess it affected times, but like at the point that we're at now with when those skips were found, the rest of the leaderboard is like caught up. Like there's not really that many people that are like at top level that don't have all of the main skips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's definitely what I remember the most from the video specifically is, yeah, especially like that last one, like the whole death plane thing. Like you used to just chance it, but now you like kind of maneuver around it, right?
Mm-hmm. And like, oh, well, I guess, yeah, there was also another trick that was found where instead of, so there's the consistent method where we don't have to chance it, right, for that skip.
You maneuver around the death plane.
We maneuver around the death plane, but there was another route, basically, like to navigate the kill planes that actually saves time. I think it's about 7 or 8 seconds faster. It's called OBT. Basically, similar idea. You like use skewed gravity to like maneuver through kill planes. You just do it in a different area on the rail, like way lower. And it is consistent. It's just a lot harder to do. So there's only currently 2 runners that I know that like go for it. One of them being Katie, of course. I think Flubler, who is currently 3rd. I don't know if he went for it in PB. I don't think so. But he is like one of the other runners that I know goes for it. And also one of my other friends, Dawn, he's like, I believe he's 5th. I think he's 5th. Whatever. He goes for it too. There's very few people who do it just because it's like a super crazy difficult trick at the very end of the run. And with a run as short as SA2, at top level, you're barely making runs that far. So it's like an insanely huge risk when you could go for the consistent strat that'll only lose you like 7 seconds overdoing it. And most people are not going to have it in their PB anyway. So it's not like they're even really losing out on the time, you know? So
yeah, but with a game that short, like 7-8 seconds is a lot of time. So it also makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like
you gotta do it.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think like a lot of people wouldn't make the decision to go for the trick until after they crossed the 21 threshold, which is like the big one. For a while, like 22 was the time to get. Then now it's 21. But it's crazy to say that like 21 is now the time to get when Katie has a 20.
Yeah.
But like that's just how it is. I mean, 21 is still like an insanely difficult time to get. And yeah, SA2 makes it rough because like not only is there a lot of like big skips that you have to hit first try while going like crazy fast, but also you have to deal with the RNG aspect of it where there can be such a huge variance. Like even in the top 20, I'm pretty sure that like there are variances of like 30 or more. Well, no, 50 or more seconds, I think, with RNG.
Damn.
It can be like a really, really big factor. So
yeah, that's got to be, I mean, it's really cool that the game gives you the chance to like route it very interestingly, I guess. Like usually when you hear an RNG factor, just like, oh, something happened out of your control and you can't do anything about it. You just have to sit there and take the time loss. But here you can like route it a certain way. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
at least there's like a gameplay element to this that makes it interesting. But it sounds like there's a lot to it where, yeah, the skews can be so high that it can literally just kill runs pretty easily.
Yeah. I mean, you can, I would say there's a lot of bad sets that you can turn into good sets with proper knowledge and execution. But sometimes you just get rolled. Sometimes there's not much you can do, and the 3 pieces that you need to get spawn in completely opposite like areas of the map,
Just
and
like
you're
well.
just gotta you gotta hold that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you just it's all right, let's go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least one of the cool things about SA2 is we legalized a mod that's called like it's like quick save reload. Um, basically all it is when you quit out of a run, you can hold Y on the main menu and it'll insta load you into a fresh file.
Mm.
So then you can just like mash the A button and get into another run like right away. As opposed to before, it doesn't sound like much, but like when you're like me and you have like 30k plus attempts,
Yeah.
it cuts down on a lot of like time because you have
Mm-hmm.
to like spend 7 seconds going into like the options menu, file select, delete it, back out,
Mm-hmm.
pick a new file, and then start it. Like that, it does not take long to do that. Like I said, like 7 seconds, but it adds up.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like resetting like endlessly to the first RNG stage because you got like a threshold of a time that's like you didn't like be under a threshold to like make the run worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it doesn't affect the speed run at all. So why not? So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, it makes sense. Um. Oh yeah. So this like newer version of the skip in the final stage. What makes
Yeah.
it harder than the original navigation?
So with the way that we do the consistent method, that's like the easier version, the older version.
Mm-hmm.
You jump off of a rail and bounce, and you keep the skewed gravity for like around 13-ish seconds. Then you break the skewed gravity, let Sonic fall for a little bit, and then you just turn at a specific time. It's very simple. But for the new variant, what you have to do is you have to hold you have to jump off of a rail at kind of a more difficult timed area. Like you have less time to jump off the rail than you do for the other one. You have to hold a more precise angle. Like you cannot like waver at all. Like for the other one, when you bounce off the rail, um, it's you keep this skewed gravity quite easily. Like you can like kind of wiggle your thumb a little bit, even if you're on pace and like be worried and still be fine. Like you're gonna make it. As long as you don't like have like a thumb spasm. But for OBT, you have to hold you have to jump off the rail, turn the camera, and hold a precise angle while turning the camera to make sure that you don't break the skewed gravity because you're not bouncing off the rail in that part. The bounce makes the difference. Because then it's without the bounce, it's easier to break the skew. So you have to maintain the skew and navigate through 3 kill planes or like around 3 kill planes. There's like a little triangle that you have to like get Sonic through. But getting through the triangle is really hard. But then you have to turn and then memorize the timing of when you turned and line Sonic up with like a visual cue on like the PNG Earth that's below you. And then you have to navigate around another kill plane that you can't see at all. You don't really have much of like. I feel like it's easier to like navigate around the 1 kill plane for the consistent one, but this one you have to deal with many, I think is the main problem. So you go around the second one and then you have to like turn and then like start bouncing at a specific time because all that time you didn't bounce, you can bounce once when you're in the air. So you have to save your bounce until the end and then bounce at a specific time and then make it all the way to the goal ring. And it all wastes a ton of time too. You only get really one shot to get it. If you die to the triangle kill plane, like at the beginning, that still loses a bunch of time because the checkpoint that you would have hit is like about, I want to say like 10-ish seconds behind you. So it's an all or nothing trick that's like super hard to hit while on pace. And again, it's the last major skip of the run. So it's just like all that pressure building up. It's like not something that like if you can avoid it, a speedrunner should want to put themselves under like the stress of hitting it because it'll just create another reset point for you until you're like just like it. Like I would think of it similarly to like I guess carpetless in a way, but obviously carpetless is a lot more high stakes because it's like way deeper into a longer run. But like same kind of amount of like nuance, I guess, you know, and like stress as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like obviously kill planes are you can't see them, so you're navigating an invisible maze, and that's kind of hard when you say it that way.
Yeah, and
Sounds
I
a
mean,
little
you can get
difficult.
used to it. We also, luckily, we have a tool on the PC. Like, we have a mod that, like, you can't play with it when you're doing runs, but we have kill plane viewers.
Hmm.
So we do have a way to play the game and visualize the kill planes. So that makes learning the trick at least a little bit better. Um, but obviously that doesn't help you mid
Yeah.
run. You still have to like memorize where they're at,
Yeah.
you know?
That is great for muscle memory, though. You can build it up, being able to see,
Yeah.
and then hopefully you just replicate it when you can't see it. But
Mhm.
so is this new method of that skip still slower than the original, like go through the kill plane and hope for the best?
It is still slower, and
Yeah.
that's the funny part.
Yeah.
Um, that the shoot yourself through the kill plane. So for those who don't really know, the old version of Final Rush skip, the way that it worked is you jump off of a rail, you bounce, and then you hope you make it through a kill plane. Yeah, it is a 1 in 8 chance that it works.
Oh my god.
Um,
I didn't know it was that
but
bad.
if yeah, so if you do it, you could get very lucky and make it through the kill plane. But we call that fast Final Rush skip or fast FR skip.
Mhm.
And that saves 12 seconds over like the consistent method, and it saves about 5-ish seconds, I think 5 or 6 seconds compared to OBT,
Mhm.
which is the new method. So theoretically, it is still the faster version to go for, but we just probably live in a world where it is still more likely for people to do the consistent way of doing it rather than shoot yourself through a kill plane and hope for a
Yeah.
1 in 8 chance to work out. So
It's just so interesting how it works because on one frame he's on one side and on the other frame the game it's on the other. So it just
mhm.
completely skips it. It's interesting that they made kill planes like that small where that's even possible.
Yeah, they're thin enough, I think. At least like that kill plane is, right?
Mhm.
I think like there are probably other kill planes that are thicker, but I think if I'm using my just like general knowledge of the game and memory, I'm pretty sure most of them are just pretty thin kill planes. Um they're just programmed like that. If you
Yeah.
pass this part of the stage, you die, and it's just that. So,
Yeah. So now that's just one skip. There's so many others as well. I
yeah.
know, let's see. I know there's one in that one mech stage. You can just use a box and kind of clip down and fly your
Okay.
way.
Yeah, so that's Bova. That's the one I was talking about earlier. That's like kind of a
Oh.
newer age skip. It's not new at this point. I mean, like I said, 2018, but like newer in the sense of like SA2 doesn't get big tricks like that very often. So it
Mhm.
is like one of the newer, I would say, like skips. It was like I remember when it got found because I'm considered kind of an old boy in the SA2 community at this point because like a lot of the people at this point who run the game started running it after me. Um, but yeah, that trick saves 40 seconds over the old skip, which was just called Eternal Engine skip. It's really funny too, because you can see the different eras of runners because like before, like trick names were very just like straightforward. It is what it is. Eternal Engine skip. And then we started developing more tricks and getting weirder names like Bofa. And there is also another trick that's in Dark Story on a shadow stage that's called Boner Weed.
All right.
So there's just all sorts of crazy stuff. But anyways, yeah. So that trick saves. It's a very simple trick, I would say, like in terms of like what it is and like how you execute it. You just there's 3 boxes that are stacked up. You run up at a specific angle at full speed, and you basically jump then shoot like one after the other. You just swipe your thumb, and the top box falls down on you because you broke the middle box, and it pushes you out of bounds.
Mm.
Um, and luckily for us, uh, the game never expects you to be out of bounds out there, so there is no kill plane until like you go like super super extra low.
Mhm.
Um, but we can just like clip out. It's like I believe like 20 seconds into the stage. Um, You just do that, and then you clip out, and then you win. You just fly to the goal ring. Um, there is a little bit of nuance to it. I forget the exact reasoning. It's about how the objects load in. But the first attempt of the trick is actually harder than the second attempt. So let's say you miss the trick, it loses you 10 seconds, which sounds kind of bad, but it's a hard trick to hit. So it's like whatever. But it's not that big of a deal because there's a checkpoint immediately in the room after where the boxes are at. So you just run up to the checkpoint. There's also conveniently a door that you can like explode that's like supposed to be like a trap that you can like fly out of, so you'll get sucked out into space. So what we do is like we'll hit the checkpoint, intentionally die, spawn back in, and then reattempt the trick. But when you reattempt the trick, the object loading order is different, so it makes it easier to clip out of bounds. And I forget exactly the science behind why that is what it is, but the second attempt of the trick is way easier than the first one. So then it's pretty much after you have to like reattempt it the second time, you're going to get it. So that's at least good, and you still save like a bunch of time.
Interesting. So this requires something that breaks, so you have to die if you want to try again.
Exactly. If you can reattempt so there's 2 stacks of the boxes, and you can actually clip out on the other side. It's just it makes navigating the out of bounds a lot more awkward, because if you go on the side that you're supposed to do it, you just hold up when you're out of bounds, and the camera eventually like swoops under tails. So then you have to like go neutral stick when the camera flips, and then you'll like suddenly be facing like the opposite way, and then you just change your angle to holding down instead of forward. But when you're coming from the other side, you have to like angle yourself so that you're kind of coming in almost like is it an isosceles triangle where it's like straight and then like whatever. You have to like kind of like, that's how I always pictured it. Is like it's kind of like a triangle route where you have to angle yourself back towards the straightaway path. And that just loses a bunch of time because it's just hard to navigate out of bounds with the camera like being all funky. So it's not really worth it. It's almost just more worth it to just die and then reattempt it with the good camera.
So what was the old method in that stage?
Kind of similar. We don't use boxes to clip out of bounds, but it was like a later part in the stage. There was a like a metal tube that was on the side that was just like a breakable metal tube in front of a sliding door. So all the doors in that stage like kind of like start in the middle like this, and then they like open up like this, and they end up in the wall. So what happens is you push Tails onto like the metal tube here, and he slides up against the wall, and you point him towards the door so that when the door slides, the game doesn't know what to do, and it like pushes him down. And then it clips him out. So then you just like fall, and it's like very similar. You just fly towards the goal ring. It just happens later in the stage.
Yeah.
So it's not much more complicated. We're just using like another means of like clipping out of bounds.
I asked because I think that's what I meant when I was talking about the skip, and I accidentally said boxes, and that just happened to also be what it is.
They're very similar. Really, so that's definitely the easy thing to get confused. Like they are basically the goal of the trick is the same. Clip out of bounds, fly to the end. You know? So it's just the method of clipping out is different.
Yeah.
And happen at like completely different like parts of the stage. But that's it, you know. So
you're still clipping underneath and then boosting all the way there. Is Tails just have infinite boost in that thing? Just like, oh, we're gonna fly.
No, so he over time goes down.
Just very slowly.
I don't remember. So I know that like jumping and hovering is affected in like the Eggman space levels. Well, just mostly just Cosmic Wall is what I mean. But I don't think it affects it the same in Eternal Engine. So I think he still falls like the normal speed that he would. The only reason why I'm confused about it is because Cosmic Wall, the Eggman stage, when he's in space, he's like outside. He's like outside in space. Whereas Tails is like inside the arc. And I don't feel like the physics feel any different for him there, you know? So But yeah, he just like eventually falls over time. Um, the big thing to make that trick faster is just to get a better angle. Like when the camera like flips under tails, basically, like I was saying, and then you have to like change your angle to like holding down instead of forward. Um, you do like a just the tiniest little adjustment, and it'll save you like a few seconds because of how far you have to fly.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah.
And then you just fall into the goal ring.
Yep,
So,
fall into the goal ring. You can
so
like take it slow too. There's like an invisible platform for some reason that sticks out of bounds, and you can like land on that and then like adjust. But obviously, the main goal is to like fly low enough and at a good enough angle that you don't need to do that. You would just like get to where you need to with the visual cues out of bounds, and then you just plop yourself into the goal ring.
how convenient.
Yeah, it's really nice
Yeah.
because that stage is long too. That stage is like
Mhm.
super long. So
Yeah, it seems like the Tails or mech stages are pretty lengthy in comparison to the others.
yeah, I think with like a lot of like speedrunning tricks and stuff, they're like not the worst, but like they're definitely some of the longer stages, I think,
Hmm. Just because you're
in
in
the
like this
game
slow mech
generally.
and you have to shoot a bunch of shit usually to make you
Hmm.
make it through. So
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to skip all of that, I guess.
Hmm. They have the least skip potential. The only reason
Hmm.
why the space ones work is because of like the verticality of the stages and that like conveniently like the Eggman physics, like I mentioned, are weird for Cosmic Wall. So there's actually a big skip in Dark Story for Cosmic Wall as well. You clip out of bounds like within the first like 40 seconds, and then you literally just fly for a minute and a half in hover to the end. Because I think you do fall like slower
Mm.
for his level, which is why I was like thinking about it and was like
I
confused.
see, yeah.
Um, but other than that, like they don't have big skips like that. Like the most like the biggest skip that I can think of otherwise is in Hidden Base with Tails. There's like a you can do pause hovers, which basically pause hovers are a way to get more height. You're just buffering. It's not really we call it pause buffering, but it's not really like what you would think of as like a traditional buffer.
Mm.
It's just trying to get two A inputs as close together as possible. So you just push A and then try to pause on the next frame. Then you unpause and try to hit A as soon as you unpause. So then it
Hmm.
gives you like more height than you would normally get from just like double tapping the A button.
Hmm.
Um, so we do like a jump onto a pole, and then we do a jump out of bounds to like fly to a later part in the stage. But like it's not like Eternal Engine skip where it like skips a huge chunk. Like this skip only saves like 7 seconds. But
Mm.
like it's still like a meaningful amount of time for like a mech stage. But there's not a lot of skips like that. So most of it is just raw movement
Yeah.
and getting used to like you said, like killing the enemies to like get past the different triggers or like shoot a door to open up.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And then yeah, the other one I know, which was very interesting, was the crazy gadget where you used to have to like get this wonky gravity because I know you flip between gravity in that stage and you
yep.
like play it in the wrong gravity, but then you can just skip that too and just again out of bounds, just wee off to the goal. There's a lot
Yep.
of that.
Yep. You we end up hitting like a gravity switch in like a pretty early room in the stage, and then we just do a spin dash off of a box. Well, there's different methods for it. There's like I do the slower, more consistent one because like the slower one only loses like I think like a few seconds, like 3 seconds. It's just because you have to spend the time setting it up. But you just shoot Sonic off of a box and then you weave through two kill planes, and because very conveniently there's just a gap there, and you fly to the goal ring, and that trick is really cool. CGSS is probably like one of the most iconic tricks from the game. Um, just because it's like a late game level, you skip like the whole thing. Like the science of how it works is just like I mean it's very simple because you're just weaving through a couple kill planes, but the idea of it is just crazy.
Hmm.
So um,
Yeah.
it's funny too because like the easier method that we do now is like it very much simplifies the trick. Um, it's a lot easier, I would say, for somebody like before we would tell like runners don't learn CGSS for like a long time. Like this is not a skip that you want to learn early on, even though it saves a bunch of time. Um, now so because of like the easier methods that we've found to do the trick, we actually kind of encourage it. Um, when you're around like the 30 threshold, as opposed to like the like 24, like when you have like a 24-minute time and you're like trying to like save some extra time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's another one that looks cool. I know well, I don't know if it's changed, but I remember you kind of have to like navigate without being able to really see where you're going. So it's hard to like get a visual on hitting because like when you're
yeah,
moving that fast out of bounds, it's hard to hit the goal ring. Like it's not that big.
yeah.
So,
Well, yes, you're right.
mhm.
The big thing for that skip is one of the biggest things when like maintaining momentum in the air is your angles. Like you have to do a very, very smooth transition when you're out of bounds to keep enough speed to make it to the goal ring. Because if you are too fast with how you're like adjusting your angles and stuff like that, you'll lose a ton of speed, like a ton of speed, and then you won't be able to like have enough juice to make it to the goal ring at all.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that can be like the frustrating part of learning that trick. But like honestly, by the time you're learning that trick, you kind of understand that that's how you lose speed. So it's like a pretty like intuitive thing to fix. You just have to slow it down.
Mhm.
And that's like the big advice we give to most runners when they're learning that trick. Just slow it down and you'll get it. And then they always do. So
Yeah. It's funny how many skips in this game, like you go out of bounds with like wacky angles and camera, and it just you
Mhm.
can somehow perfectly make your way to the goal that way. Even though you're just falling pretty much,
Yep.
falling with style to
Yeah.
wherever the goal ring happens to be.
Dude, it's crazy because like City Escape skip, the first like main skip in Hero Story is like that. Um it's very just convenient that the stage is laid out in such a way that like you can do a clip out of bounds pretty early on and you're just lined up perfectly with a later part of the stage and you skip like I forget how much. I think it's like 25 seconds of time save or something like that. It might be more than that, but um you save just like 25 seconds just because everything just because like again it's the verticality, right? Like City
Mhm.
Escape, like it's like kind of like a almost like a spiral down. It doesn't feel like a spiral because it's like, you go through like long stretches of streets and stuff like that, but it all like piles back onto each other in sort of a spiral. So you just clip out at one part and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm at a later part of the level now. Now I just gotta like finish it out. Um we're really lucky that the game works the way that it does.
Mhm.
Um in some spots. But I mean, I'm not going to complain because I think it just makes it a better speed game. Because
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it looks really cool when you just skip
yeah,
to the end all the
yeah,
time.
it's such a good balance, and that's why I think like SA2 is again like just such a like. Of course, I'm super biased, but like
Yeah.
I think it's such a good speed game because it has that balance of like you still like you have these big skips, right? But like the movement of the game is so important that like if you don't have that part down, it's not like you're gonna be able to get like a top level time. Like if somebody was really bad at the movement, but they could do all the skips, they're still not gonna be able to compete with everybody else. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's a perfect balance of that like world. So yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, it's like Mario 64 where you can get all the tricks, but a lot of time comes from getting good at movement.
Yep. Yep. And it feels that's the good part is the movement in the game's good. So
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely looks like tricky to execute because of like it's a game built around like trying to go fast
mhm.
in its like creation too. So it's like and then you're dealing with 3D, so platforming at fast speeds is gonna be more difficult. That's just how the game works.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like impressive how you can and when you're speedrunning, you're going like faster than like they're probably intending to. So it's like even more difficult to 3D platform in that way. So and
Yeah.
then let
I
alone
think
getting out of bounds every 10 seconds. So
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think that's like one of the beauty, like one of the best parts about SA2 is like, yeah, like the devs probably didn't intend us to go as fast as we're going, but like because of how everything functions, it works well enough that we can make it work and we can make it work well, you know? Like even though you're going like way faster than you're supposed to, it still all makes sense and you have the tools to be like precise enough to like be able to uh like deal with it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, just another thing that just makes I'm just gonna talk so highly of SA2. So
I
know.
mean, it sounds cool. So I mean, it's definitely a visually appealing game to watch. So it's nice to know the intricate details, I think. But yeah, I gotta ask because I haven't yet. Why is it called Bofa? Just for fun,
both for the
or
boxes.
both?
Yeah, both for the boxes that clip you out of bounds, you know?
Okay.
And also, I'm pretty sure it was just supposed to be like a joke, and then we just kind of like afterwards were like, oh, well, that makes sense. You have 2 boxes that like push you out of bounds. So
just make it make sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think because I think the reason why names like that kind of spawned is because there was like the older generation of SA2 runners who were like very like set in the ways of making tricks very direct and very like of what it was and stuff like that. And like, you know, there was definitely some old, I mean, it's long done now. Like it's not really like a thing anymore. But like back then there was like the drama of like the old people and the new people. And so that was like the kind of way like all the new people at once were like, we're calling it Bofa. We're calling it Bofa. And then everybody else was like, guys, no, like we gotta call it Eternal Engine Skip. Like we gotta keep the legacy. And they were like, no, that's stupid. Why would we do that? Let's just make it Bofa. It's fun. So
yeah, you already got Crazy Gadget Skip. So
yeah, and I think that was like another reason why people were just like, let's just make a change, because like CGSS, very iconic trick, but Skip. Come on.
it is
we
funny.
Can do better than Skip.
It's funny once. It's funny once, and there it is.
Exactly. And then like to just repeat the joke and beat it into the ground, it's like, all right, well, now things are getting complicated. So,
I mean, both was easier to say. I'll give it that.
It is, yeah. It's easier to say. It's fun to say. It's really funny when people are like, "What's that trick?" And you're like, "Oh, it's Bofa." And they're like,
"Yeah,
should
okay.
I ask? Should I ask if that's actually the name?"
Yeah, it's a free.
They don't want to get Bofa these nuts. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's a free got 'em too, because you can.
Yeah,
you can get
I try
still.
really hard to not hit him with the got him, because that's literally the name of the trick. So I don't want to be like the BM guy who's just like, both of these nuts, like every single time. You know what I mean? I don't think I've done it much since like the trick was found. Like I definitely did it then because it was really funny. Now it's just like, okay, well, that's just the name of the trick. So
so is that like all the cool things in Hero Story?
Oh gosh.
Well, I'm sure there's more cool things, but like when it comes to like, oh yeah, that's an obvious like what's going on there kind of thing.
There's still, I think the other main one that we haven't talked about is Green Forest Wall Run.
Oh,
is
yeah,
a pretty
right.
like visually I think it's like probably the coolest trick visually to me in the game, because like you use like so basically the trick is like there's this tree in Green Forest where you have to like take a bunch of springs to get to the top of the tree and then make it to like a later part. Like you're supposed to like go down a path that swirls back down the tree a little bit and then like takes you to a bungee vine that like puts you down and then brings you back up, and it's a long, it's a lot of time, right? It takes like a long time to actually do that. So what we do instead is we run up the side of the tree instead. And to do that, the way that it works is all of the loops in the game, they once you cross like a trigger on the loop, it sets your speed value. That's how they make Sonic run through the loops, because a lot of times players won't have enough speed when they make it to that loop to make it through. So they just like set your speed value there. So what we do is we actually abuse that. We get on the side of the loop that's like right before the tree. We to skew our gravity. So like instead of Sonic being like straightforward like this, he's actually kind of like this, like angled upwards a bit. And then we spin dash off of the side of the loop and touch the back part of it. So when we touch the back part, we get our speed value set to like a really high speed value. And then we just adjust our angle back to forward and homing attack towards the tree. But we store all the speed from the loop, and it allows us to get enough speed to run all the way up the tree and jump off way earlier to the platform that we're supposed to go to after going through like the whole tree section. And that trick is really difficult to do. It's like it was one of the last tricks that I actually implemented into like one of the last big tricks I implemented into my runs because it saves about like 12 seconds. So it's like it's not as big as something like a Bofa where it saves like 40, right?
Mhm.
But Green Forest Wall Run is such a visually cool trick. It's so dope, dude. He literally like Naruto runs up the tree sideways and like the camera too. Like you have to like hold the camera button once you like get to a certain point so that you can like adjust it as like he's running up the tree. But like it has like very like cinematic angles as he's like running up it too. It's just like it's such a neat trick. Um
Sounds like it
I
works out a
think
little too perfect.
yeah. Yeah, it's almost it looks like it's intentional. Like it looks like it was like meant to be in the game. It's definitely not.
Yeah, no.
100% not. Um and then there also with that trick too, there's two variations of it. There's the slower one where you just run straight up and then do like a spin dash off the side of it to make it to the end. And then there's the one where we call it pass run, where you land on the tree and then you take a very specific route with Sonic to have a more direct path towards the platform you're supposed to land on. And then you like jump off the side of it. Yeah, you just jump off the side of it earlier. It's
Yeah.
a lot harder, but it saves like a few seconds over the other method. So
Mhm.
most of the top runners go for it.
Yeah. Just so many cool visual stuff in that game. Kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, absolutely. And that's why I say to the GOAT.
There you go. So then I know we briefly talked about Dark Story. I know
Mhm.
that's a thing. I forget in that game. Are those like the only two like main games?
Yeah, basically. I mean, so there is Last Story as well,
Oh yeah, that's right.
but Last Story is like really, really short
Mhm.
in comparison to Dark and Hero. It's like uh a final stage where you play through it with multiple characters. It's Tails, Eggman, Knuckles, Rouge, and then Sonic.
Mhm.
Um, they all have like little sections that last about like 30 seconds each. Um, and then it's two bosses back to back. So it's like it's there are people who like there's like two people that exclusively run Last Story, but generally what people do is they either pick to run Hero Story or they run Dark Story. Um, and they like pick one of those as like their main, and then like they might dabble in the other one. Like for example, me like Hero Story is my main one, but I will like I know how to play Dark Story to like an okay degree. You know, like I think my PB is like 30th or something, maybe 40th, which isn't that crazy. But like I know how to play Dark Story and like do a decent amount of like the big skips. You know,
Mhm.
um, so what we'll do is there's also the category for all stories. So you do a run of Hero Dark and Last Story on one
Mhm.
file. Um, but that it's sort of like a written off category in a way because like there's very few people who have actually just grinded all stories. The optimal way to do it is to just PB in either Hero or Dark and then be like, okay, we're going to turn this into an all stories run now.
Mhm.
And then just like continue on the run with whatever. So like if I PB Hero, I'll be like, all right, I'll play Dark and then see if I can get anything going and then try to turn it into an all stories run, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's so many games I play where you can do something similar, so I get it.
Well, the only downside to that though is that like there's not a lot of people who like will go out of their way to do all stories though. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just kind of
Yeah.
like a oh well, we might as well try this kind of thing, you know?
Mhm. No, yeah.
So
Yeah. I can relate with the same exact thing, so I understand.
mhm.
Um but yeah, so what are the cool things in the Dark Story then?
Dude, Dark Story, there's a lot. I'm not as well versed in Dark Story as I am with Hero, but like I said, there's the fling skip, which is the final skip in the last shadow stage where you jump off the rail with skewed gravity.
Mhm.
Again, kind of similar, but a lot harder than Final Rush skip.
Yeah,
Um,
was there like a frame perfectness to it you said? You said like wait for
yeah,
a
you
frame
have
you
to.
see.
There's like a window of like, it's like I forget the exact time, but there's a window of like a few frames that you can like, or a couple frames, I guess, that you can do it. You just have to change like how you're holding your skewed gravity to like navigate the kill planes or whatever. But yeah, but luckily the thing with that trick though is at least like that part of the rail, which you would think would be like the hardest part, is getting the good frame to jump off the rail. It's always made consistent by landing on the rail at the very start and just holding B as soon as you spawn. And then like we can very easily pause advance
Okay.
to get the right frame. Now it's still a 60 FPS game, so it's like you still have to do it pretty fast. But a lot of us, what we do to do like any trick that involves pausing is we actually set our pause to our bumper, so that we can like do stuff like this to pause advance. And it makes it way easier than like trying to like actually hit the pause button on like whatever controller you're using, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you played this game on most people play it on PC.
Yes. So actually, dude, okay, so that's actually something to talk about. Very recently, we legalized emulator for the game. And the reason that we did that was like we didn't think that we ever would, because like the Steam version is very accessible. It's like the best way to play the game. It's like the cheapest way to get SA2. You don't need like capture card or anything like that. So it's like it's an old game too, so it runs like decently on most PCs. The reason why we legalized it recently is because there was a trick that was found in Dark Story. It's like not really, I guess, like new. Like I think it was like known to work, but it only works on the GameCube version of SA2. And that's Iron Gate Wall Run. So the Iron Gate is the first Eggman stage it's the very first stage in Dark Story. There are these two long elevators that you have to wait for that are about 20 seconds each. And you just have to sit there and wait for it to go all the way down. You know, it wastes a lot of time. But in the GameCube version, it's actually easier for you to run on walls with mech characters. And I don't remember if it's just specifically mech characters or if it's other characters, but it's definitely the fact of mech characters on GameCube. It is easier for them to run on walls. So it is not an easy trick to pull off at all. It's like you have to do like some frame perfect jump shenanigans and then also like hold perfect angles to like run on the wall to maintain your speed. But if you hit both of the wall runs, it saves 40 seconds.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of time for that game. And like the current like record for Dark Story is 21:53. So it's like pretty similarly timed to Hero Story. Like it's a very short run. So 40 seconds is a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. And in order to make the game easier to run on the best speedrun version of the game for like Dark Story, they legalized emulator just to like, you know, make it simpler. Because of that. Because on PC, Eggman literally cannot run on the wall in the same way that he can on GameCube. And it's funny because like a lot of the differences between GameCube and PC, like there are small differences, but they've never played as big of a role as like a skip like that, you know? A lot of it is just very simple things like in the cart stages, because there's cart stages for some reason in SA2. The cart drifts a little better, like you can drive a bit better. It doesn't really affect times too much. It's just easier to do. Also on the PC version in the treasure hunting stages, they added hint monitors. So it's quicker for you to get after getting a piece to find another hint to know where you have to go for your next piece on PC, because they just put more monitors out and about. So like it was never really a concern, and suddenly now it is, because now it's like, oh my gosh, world record has this trick that saves 40 seconds. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess now it would make sense to legalize emulator.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah. It's a neat little thing that is a pretty recent thing that has come up. I honestly totally blanked about it just because like one, it was a trick that again we already kind of knew existed. It was just thought to be like a task only trick. And two, I don't run a lot of Dark Story, so there's that too. Yeah, Dark Story has like another thing called sandwalking, which is the next Eggman stage after the first one. You like frame perfectly shoot a balloon as you die in the sand, and like he gets put in like this like weird like hover state where he like bounces out of the quicksand, and he's supposed to be dead but he's not, but then he just stays floating and moves really slowly. We use that to at the very beginning of the level there's like there's Mystic Melody that like lets you, it's an upgrade that you get, and you can like use Mystic Melodies at these ruins to teleport you to a further part of the stage. And where you get the upgrade at the very beginning is off to the side that normally you wouldn't be able to get to without getting an upgrade that you get later. But you can get that upgrade in this hover state and then teleport later into the level, and it saves like, again, like 12 seconds. Something like that. That trick's kind of hard. I don't go for that when I do Dark Story runs.
No, if
just because it's also another reset heavy point.
Yeah.
And honestly, so Dark Story does have a lot less like big skips compared to SA2. I'm sure there's like a few other ones that I'm like blanking on right now, but those are like the main ones. Dark Story is just very interesting in the sense that it's more reset heavy earlier on than Hero Story, like earlier on in skill level. Because the first 3 stages are like a gauntlet. Rouge's stages compared to Knuckles' stages have a higher variance of RNG as well. You're less likely, like with Knuckles stages, it's like you could get a bad set and you're like more likely to get a bad set and be able to execute it well still, and still like make it like a playable set. In Dark Story, not so much. In Dark Story, it's like you get rolled. So then, especially with the first stage, Dry Lagoon. So it just creates a lot of like more resets. So honestly, what we say, or I don't know if this is still the general thought, but it was the general thought for a while. Hero Story is the easier one to start with, but it's harder at top level. And Dark Story is like the harder one to start with without a base knowledge of the game. And then like it's easier at top level because it's less competitive, but not as much anymore. Dark Story is a lot more competitive than it used to be. So that feeling might have skewed more. Like I don't know what the general thought from the like top Dark Story runners are, but you know, again, I can't claim to be a Dark Story runner. I have ran Dark Story, but like I don't actively play it. I haven't like grinded it super hard or anything. So
yeah. I just didn't know like how much they varied. I assume all the characters like play the same to their counterparts.
They do. The only notable difference I would say is that for Eggman, when you tap B shoot with his mech, his little like thing that he like tap shoots with, it's on his side, whereas Tails, it's above his head. And that matters just for aiming. But like literally otherwise they function the same. And then of course Sonic gets an upgrade that Shadow doesn't, because Shadow has 4 stages, Sonic has 5. And that's the bounce bracelet. So Shadow doesn't get access to that, which is kind of sad because Shadow with bounce, I mean, Shadow would be super broken, I think, with bounce bracelet. It's a very like important upgrade to the run as far as like movement and stuff like that.
That's what makes that like final stage skip for Sonic consistent, right?
It makes it faster. You don't necessarily need the bounce to do it.
I see.
You can so, and it's funny because it's also harder without the bounce. So remember what I said earlier about like being in bounce makes it so that like it's less like it's harder to break the skewed gravity in bounce, thus making the trick easier.
Yeah.
You can do the trick without the bounce. It's just easier to accidentally like hold an angle that will make it so that you lose the skewed gravity essentially. So
I see.
Yeah, but bounce bracelet is like a crazy good upgrade for Sonic, and part of the reason why I like Hero a little bit more than Dark. And also the sad thing about the Shadow stages is like he only gets 4. Shadow gets 4 stages. One of them we skip the whole thing, the last stage basically. You're on the rail, you do the skewed gravity jump, you're done. The other one is Sky Rail. It is if you're doing it quickly, it's like a 50-second stage or a 40-second stage. Very, very short. And so that only leaves like 2 stages for like the speed stages of Dark Story that you like actually have to like play out with like the movement and stuff like that are like I don't know, fun. I think to me, like, I'm not saying like Dark Story is bad. I think Dark Story is like a really dope run in itself, but like I just enjoy Hero Story like a lot more because I think the balance is a bit better for like how the stages are, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for 2 separate like stories that where the characters are essentially the same, it sounds very different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the short answer to your question is they mostly function exactly the same.
Yeah.
So that's why like the transition to Dark Story would be like a lot easier for me to do now that I've played so much, you know?
Yeah. And what was that skip you mentioned earlier in Dark with the funny name?
Oh, boner weed skip. It's like it doesn't even it saves like a second. It's like another thing. Like remember how I said the loop speed thing? It's basically like abusing the loop speed in White Jungle to like get to a further part in the stage. And the reason why they called it boner weed skip is just because funny name, but also you use a weed on the ground that like lets you line up where you're supposed to like land and like do it. But that trick is like it's not as important or like it's not like Green Forest Wall Run. It is literally like you use the loop speed to just get to like further in the path that's like right in front of you.
It's
but
not
it
like
is
a
faster.
major skip. It's just
no
a skip.
No. It's definitely there's a lot of like little skips in SA2 that like save like a second here, maybe a couple seconds here. But that's like it's not I would not consider that one like a major skip, you know.
I see. It just has funny name, so haha.
It just has funny name.
I
Yeah, somebody found it and they were like, we're gonna make this the funny name. So
I see. Yeah, if you find something, you get to name it whatever you want, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah.
Sounds like we've learned all we needed to about that game, right? Anything interesting not mentioned, I guess?
I mean, not particularly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like I could talk about like my journey, but it's not that interesting, low-key. I mean, like,
well,
I mean, just to be honest, I mean, it's just like I started early. I stopped playing the game for a while, and then I came back to it with like COVID, like I said, and that's like when I started to take streaming seriously, and that's when I started to take speedrunning more seriously as well.
Yeah.
Because I always had like work, school, and then also I played competitive Smash for a while.
Melee?
So,
Melee or Ultimate?
Mostly Ultimate. I played Smash 4 in Ultimate because like when I got into competitive Smash, it was like right before Smash 4 came out, like right before. And like I was watching Melee and like PM and stuff like that. But then it was like, oh, this actually feels like a Melee felt out of reach, right? Now so it's way easier to get into Melee. In fact, I have been playing a lot of Melee recently. Just like on Slippy and stuff like that. But with at the time there wasn't any great way to practice Melee. Like there wasn't a big Melee scene around here, and new Smash game was coming out, so it was the perfect time to like play the new game with everybody else, you know what I mean? So I did that for a while, and like I think balancing that with speedrunning was practically like impossible, so at least with the level that I wanted to play at. And I never got that good at Smash, don't get me wrong. I was never even PR'd in my region, although my region was actually like kind of stacked. But I was always like a fringe PR player, you know what I mean? Like I could like I would consider myself at least an ultimate, like not anymore because I'm so washed in the game now, like everybody's gotten like so much better, but pre-COVID I was like ultimate mid level player, like not like mid high level, not mid low, just mid. Like I could hold my own against like good people and I could beat them sometimes, maybe, you know. But yeah, I mean, I never really did much. I made it out of pools like once at like a major tournament, so
there you go. So speedrunning won.
Speedrunning won.
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, and then like I came back and then I've just been grinding SA2 mostly ever since with like some small breaks. I think like the breaks are necessary though, because I think the relationship with a game that's like your main speed game, you have to try to your best to keep it as healthy as possible
Mhm.
because it is very easy to burn out.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm at a level though, at least with SA2, where it's like I could probably practice more and like maybe see some improvement, but I honestly feel like where I'm at now, I could just get a PB of a time, like a gold time I want, the 21, right?
Mhm.
But playing more off stream creates a level of expectation for myself that when I do runs, if I do bad, I get mad and then I play worse.
Yeah.
And so that makes you feel more burnout. So I have been playing less. And I think it's been good because like I just took like a small break from SA2. I'm kind of back right now doing more runs. Um I care less if I do well. And if I do bad, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And then I just start up another run. And then I literally like PB'd the other day because of that. And
There
but
you
of
go.
course I also got extremely lucky, by the way. The only reason why that run PB'd recently was because I have currently the best luck out of the top 20 times for
Mm.
Knuckles levels. We have like a spreadsheet that like combines your like combined character times.
Hmm.
And mine's like the best by like a few seconds. And
Goddamn.
because I just got like the run of luck of all time. So, and it's also my time like combined Nux. It's like currently the best time out of the top 20 of the current PBs, but it is also the 5th best ever recorded like Knuckles luck in a run.
Mm.
So I just got really lucky and got a PB, and it
Well,
only PB'd by like a couple seconds too. So
well, there you go. Getting carried
yeah,
by RNG. You love to see it.
yeah. I mean, hey, we take those.
We do
I
take
went up
those.
a place on the leaderboards too, so I was like, I don't deserve this, but I don't care.
Based. But yeah. So that's definitely like your main speed game, you'd say, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, it's a good one to do, I guess. I mean,
Mhm.
you get so much replay value just because of how RNG heavy some of it is. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have people like Katie who are like just proving that the skill ceiling is just insanely high. And
yeah.
like there's always like she's always there to like learn from to try to like improve. Um and also Katie is like a really like cool person too. Like I could literally reach out to Katie and be like, "Katie, how do I do this?" And then she would like write me like a long explanation of like how it works, like and like how she like thinks about it in her brain and how to do it. And I'd be like, "Okay, sick. Now I can actually try to like put that into my run."
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I saw what was it? Pace last summer. There was a LTA tournament there.
yeah. Yeah, the SA2 LTA.
Yeah. So how was that whole event?
Dude, it was I think that's like probably one of my favorite like gaming event things to ever happen. At least like that I've been a part of, you know? Um Getting the opportunity to run SA2 at pace was like well, to do the LTA at pace was like super like I don't know. We never felt like something like that would happen for SA2, right? Like we see like SM64 like doing stuff like that all the time and it's like yeah, that game deserves it. It has the legacy. It's a really good game. I think it's an amazing speed game. I've been running a lot of Mario like recently myself. Um, but like SA2 has like always been one of those like, damn, this game is so sick, but nobody knows, you know? So it was great to like have the opportunity to showcase the game. And then like for the actual like competition itself, I tried so hard. I I have never like tried to like prepare for something more than I did for that LTA. Um, and dude, it's so interesting because there's like so many things to talk about with that because it's like the game is really short, so it's like you get to bang out like a ton of attempts, right? But like when you only have like that one slot to work in, like that 9 hours,
Mhm.
um, it feels like you're incentivized to just keep playing, just like keep
Yeah.
banging out runs, like keep going, keep going, keep going. So it's like very draining. Um, but it was so much fun. Like I never expected to be running like sitting next to some of the best players to ever play SA2. like on a stage playing the game, like we're racing each other. Well, I mean, obviously LTA is a little different, but you know, basically racing each other. Very fun and unique experience. But then like for me, I placed third.
Goddamn.
Which was like something that was the goal, by the way. That was like, because the other two people that I knew that would finish in front of me were Katie and Aiden. Both Katie and Aiden had just gotten to 21 recently and like had lowered his 21 even further with like another PB or two before the event even happened. And then obviously Katie's just the GOAT. So it was just like, okay, well, these are two people that I'm not going to beat. There are other people that could definitely place third, even fourth above me, fifth. You know, like at the time I had the 7th or 8th best time, I think, in Hero. And like we had like a few people that were there that were above me on the leaderboards. So I was like, okay, if I get third, that would be like peak, right? And I started out the day really strong. Like I started out with the best time. But there was like, you know, like Katie, she was like trying to go for the crazy stuff, the first run and stuff like that. And I was just going for like, I actually started like late because I had an early reset to something. And then like, you know, the first no reset that everybody was trying to do. So like I finished behind everybody else, but I still had like the best first time. And so that felt good. That was like a good like mental win for the day. Cause then I was just like, okay, like I just gotta like keep playing consistent because I'm obviously playing well enough today to like get a decent time. So, you know, I definitely played more SA2 than I should have, but at the very end, my friend Dawn right next to me, he shot up from like 5th place to 3rd place, I think, or 6th place to 3rd place with his very last run. And I was like halfway through my last run when he finished, and he got up and he was like, "Hey man," he like stuck out his fist. He was like, "Bought me back." And I was like, okay. And like we're on our last runs at this point, right? And like I like went down to like 6th or 5th or something like that after like he like boosted himself up, because I think I was just like one spot above him. And I don't know what happened. I kind of blacked out, and I like I remember like focusing super hard on the run, and I made it to Crazy Gadget, and I was the last person playing. So then at that point, like a crowd had like come around to watch the end of the LTA, and I was the last person doing runs on stage, and I was so stressed. I have never felt more nervous, I think, like in a run setting ever. And I had to hit CGSS, and my thumbs are like sitting there like
yeah. And you need those angles too, so makes it a little harder.
Yep, you need the angles. Exactly. So I'm like death gripping my controller to make sure that I'm not like messing up the angles. And yeah, I hit CGSS, everybody pops off, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm freaking out. And then like I make it to the end of the run, and I finish with like a time that is like 1 or 2 seconds better than Dawn's time after he told me to bop him. And everybody pops off. I felt like
scripted.
Yeah, dude, it was such a good like I think like final like point of the whole like LTA, right? And like I felt like I had won the tournament even though I got 3rd. Like I got 3rd. I was like, dang, this is like nothing will beat this feeling. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, I prepared like super hard for that tournament, so I'm really proud of the fact that I like achieved my goal for it, and I did it in the last run, in crazy clutch last
in the
last
most
run
hype
scenario.
way possible.
Yeah, unintentionally. I was trying all day to get that run, or at least like a run of that caliber. So it was stressful, but I would love an opportunity to do it again. I think LTAs are probably like the best form of like competitive speedrunning.
Like
I think that we have
live competition, especially in person. Oh my god, it's so perfect for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like doing a race, like there's just so much that can happen, you know? Like we've done tons of like race tournaments, like normal like one-on-one tournament races, brackets, I guess I should say, for SA2. The downside to it is like you could have 2 people playing super crazy well, and then have a variance of RNG of 40 seconds. Now, it doesn't happen that often. In fact, SA2 races are closer than you would think most of the time, because like a lot of the tricks and stuff like kind of even it out as far as like, okay, you have to execute this trick first try to like maintain your lead.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the tricks, like luckily, you can reattempt pretty easily from a checkpoint. Like you'll just lose like 10-ish, 12-ish seconds, you know, and then just like reattempt it. So it does actually even out more so than others. But the thing that sucks is if it's just like a one-on-one race, you both are playing really well, it could just come down to RNG.
Mm-hmm.
So having the opportunity to just be able to play out multiple runs is huge.
Oh yeah, a game like that needs that for like a competition. I think any game with RNG, I think, for a competition needs to have like multiple attempts at it, so it works out. But yeah, that pace, I'm like hearing myself back or something. It's like,
oh, was it through?
I think so. It's just throwing me off. So
yeah, you're good. I can turn you down a bit, and then I could also, if it continues to be an issue, I can throw on headphones.
Yeah,
because I just have you through my speakers right now.
I see. Yeah, it's probably fine. I just was like, what am I hearing? But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that pace was like super stacked with its, especially LTAs. Now I'm biased because that was the big Mario 1 one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the Mario one was dope too.
Oh yeah, it was so cool. That was the first time that like was streams live, that technology. So that was a big deal for the community, especially with the guy that made all of that shit work. But like it was SA2B, there was the Mario one, there was the Lego Star Wars people. Oh, it's so stacked.
Yeah.
It's such a good event.
It had such a dope lineup. Like they did such a good job at picking good games for the summer pace for sure.
So big hype. Loved that event. So yeah, I didn't know how good the SA2B thing did too. I must have showed up at the end, unless I was like somewhere. But
I think that it was like, I mean, obviously it's not like the Mario LTA, like Mario 64 LTA. So like,
well, yeah,
you don't have the same crowd throughout the day.
No.
But we had like waves of people come through, especially since we had like a lot of Sonic people that showed up specifically because the LTA was happening. Like people who don't necessarily run SA2 that much, but like more of like they might play like some of the classic games, or like they might play like Sonic Heroes, or SatX. So yeah, the only downsides I think to the event were last minute headphones, because like we were told that they were gonna have headsets, and then they were like, oh wait, we don't have headsets, we got to go get some. So that, of course, they went to go get some cheap ones, which I understand because it's like last minute, but like those sucked. The playing on the stage with the heat, I don't know if you experienced that.
Well, I had to have, because, well, my story was, I don't know if it was heat, but I forgot my controller in my hotel room. So right before it started, I dashed. And you know how far away the hotel is. So I ran there and ran back. I have asthma, by the way. Not a good combination here. After my first race for the Mario thing, by the way, I think I got first place in like the first 458. So I killed it. I walked off stage and literally was the closest to passing out I've ever felt in my life. I never experienced like entire body, like, you know, like if your foot falls asleep or something. That happened to my whole body. I've never felt that before. And I was like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
So I had to like,
it's kind of hype though,
sure.
No? Just a little bit hype.
It was cool, but like I had to like stay awake. I had to stay conscious for like 30 seconds. But yeah, so maybe the heat was like part of that too. It was definitely in the summer, and yeah, I recall their AC not being the greatest thing in the world, but
no, I mean, the biggest issue is like the room that they had us in was the same. Like there was a lot of people that were going like in and out from like the horse racing track that's right there. A lot of like the workers and stuff would come in and out the whole day. Yeah. So they like any AC that could have maybe built up was just being let out the whole time.
Yeah, it's right next to the doors, and yeah, if they're constantly open, yeah, it's not going to do much for you.
They like eventually I think Milo brought us over some fans, and that was helpful, or like I think there were just fans that were maybe just up there, but like it was brutal most of the day, because like I think where I was sitting in like the middle of the stage, so like the fans weren't really getting to me that much. So I was just sweating all day. But luckily, in this room that I'm currently in, this room sucks during the summer. Like it's like pretty similar. Like I have when I'm like streaming, I have like my door closed, my windows closed, but like the ventilation doesn't get down here like so good. But like with my big ass computer running and me, you know, streaming and talking and blowing constant hot air out of my mouth when I'm doing streams and stuff, it's always really hot in this room. And I have to like kind of play under those conditions like kind of often. So I was used to playing in the heat, but it doesn't make it good. Like it still sucks. So
yeah, I think I definitely heard a lot of people kind of were like, man, I need a fan, dude. It's so hot. Like in the summer, it's just brutal, especially in that area. And with, like a crowded area like that is. And yeah, there are people all the time exiting because it's such, like, people are there for like betting and stuff. So, and there's usually something going on outside. So people are just going out and watch. Yeah, it's a mess. But I mean, visually, the venues are very cool looking, though. Especially if you like the color blue, but...
yeah, lots of blue everywhere.
Lots of blue, but... something about that screen being right there with all the people on stage. Oh, it's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It was a really great event. I would love if there was like another like SA2 LTA. The only other game that like I could see myself being a part of for an LTA would probably be like Sonic Frontiers, if that becomes a thing. But like I don't think I would play at like a high enough level for the other games to even really like be considered. Like I've speedrun like a ton of different games over like the course of like playing, but like Sonic Adventure 2 is definitely like the one. So like it makes sense for me to be a part of the LTA for that, especially since like I'm a top level runner, right? But
yeah, speaking of, we can get into some other games. I think we've talked plenty about SA2B, but
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I haven't really looked at Frontiers all too much myself, but how is that for a speed game?
It's good, but it's very different. It's very different for compared to like a lot of other Sonic games, because like I think the best way that somebody explained it to me from like how they viewed it is it's just like a speedrunning collectathon kind of, because it honestly does boil down to that, because the way that the game works is there's different islands, very like different open areas that you have to like go through, and the way you progress is by getting memory tokens, which are just like the collectible that you get to advance the story, like talk to the characters, and then also lets you get the you have to get Chaos Emerald keys to unlock the Chaos Emeralds. And that's the other main thing that you have to collect. So it's a very weird game because like, so the first two islands we completely skip. We can like basically like do some crazy skips to like fight the final boss of the area pretty early. But then the next two islands after that are ones that we have to, or sorry, the next three islands after that are ones that we have to play out completely. Two of them of which you have to like get every Chaos Emerald and get all the memory tokens necessary to progress the story. So it's like the game is like really fun. I think the movement in the open zone area is really cool, but it doesn't feel the same as like a typical Sonic game where it's like just get from point A to point B as fast as possible. So it's just a lot different, but it is still like a cool speed game. Like there's a bunch of like huge skips and tricks in the game, and I would say it's like a pretty difficult game at top level. It's not anywhere near, I would say, the level of difficulty that SA2 is by any means. But it's like difficult in its own way, because like in that game you mess up a trick, you lose like 30 seconds to 40 seconds. And it's like, okay, wow, this feels awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I knew it was like a whole open world thing. So, but yeah, usually when open worlds come collectibles, so I guess I wasn't aware of how much of a factor that played, because you think of something like Breath of the Wild, like you can just beat the fucking game, but that's like super open world. So
yeah,
it sounds very different.
It is, because it's like it's they don't even coin it as open world, they coin it as open zone because there are different zones that you go to that are like open areas that you do. They're essentially just like really big open levels. And then like there is the traditional Sonic stages in the form of cyberspace stages. But we play very little of them over the course of the run, and they're all like pretty short. Like I think we play a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we play 6.
I'm guessing
and,
there's a
like-
few more than 6 in the game.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more than 6. There's like 30 something.
Oh god.
I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But like the first 2, so now very recently the route just changed for the second island, and we used to only play one of the cyberspace stages there, but now we don't play any of them. On the first island, you like as soon as the game loads in, you load into a cyberspace stage for like the beginning of a run, so you have to play one there. But other than that, you don't play any other ones. And then, like I said, the last 3 islands. One of them is called Rhea Island, and it's just a side island where you do this like platforming gauntlet to like just get to the top of the towers to activate them, and then like you get lore and it advances the story. It's really short. Like we only play that in like 3 minutes. But there's 2 islands, the rest of them, that you actually have to like play out and get like the Chaos Emerald keys for, and then like that's what you use cyberspace for, is to get the Chaos Emerald keys. But like if we're playing the other islands that you skip the whole island, you don't need the Chaos Emerald keys. You just skip everything. So with the new route in the second island, we used to have to get some keys from a cyberspace stage, but now we no longer do. Now we just get it from a faster route that was found to like get all the like necessary collectibles to progress, which is a lot less on the second island because, like I said, we basically skip the whole thing. So, but anyways, yeah,
that's what's nice about open world type games, is routing is like one of the major factors of a speed run. So it can always like constantly evolve and you find new things that make the routing better.
Dude, I will say it's a blessing and a curse, because I will say running a game like that very early on is very hard.
Yeah.
Like mentally taxing, kind of hard. Because like I went into Sonic Frontiers wanting to be the best. Spoiler, I'm not the best. But a lot of that played into like the burnout factor. Because I played that game an unhealthy amount when it first came out, because I wanted to be the best, because I was full-time streaming stuff. My day consisted of waking up, checking the Discord to see if there was any new strats. If there was, start to learn it. And then I would learn the strat while watching a Frontier speedrun on the side, because a lot of like the EU people would be streaming like in the mornings. So I'd watch their streams. I would play the game all afternoon, take a break for dinner and like showering, and then I'd get on stream and I'd play on stream for like, I was doing like 8-hour, 9-hour streams sometimes of playing Frontiers, like practicing / doing attempts. And then I'd go to bed and I'd do it all again. And I did that for 3 months straight.
Jesus.
That's 3 months basically nonstop. It was hard. And because of like the route was changing like every day, it felt like, you know, you were never truly being able to stay on top of everything, you know? And I was like a world record competitive level runner for a lot of the early on parts of the game. But then eventually I just got so burnt that I was just like, oh, and then also, not to mention, one of the other big contributing factors of my burnout was Katie4, because Katie4 was just like on a whim. She was like, it would be really funny if I speedran Sonic Frontiers. And because she's the god gamer that she is, she just came and got record like super easily. Like played like half the playtime that most of us played and just got record. And then eventually got the first like sub-hour time in that game and was just like, all right, deuces, I'm done with this. And it was like, dude, that sucks. We're so bad at games compared to her. And you know, since then, like she hasn't been running and her time's been beaten. And there's like a lot of runners who have like gotten really, really good. But I think like even though I enjoy Frontiers as a speed game, I will never be able to put myself completely into it again because I just burnt myself so bad like so early on. But I think it is like a pretty solid speed game. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best or anything like that. but it's like, you know, it's a solid game.
As long as it's fun.
Cool to
right?
watch.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever have the record?
like a day.
Hey, hey. That counts.
It sucks too, because like the boards weren't out yet technically, but like we all knew like everybody's times because everybody was being like very vocal about like, oh, I got this time, oh, I have this time, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But it wasn't even like a full day. I think it was like, I think I had the record for like 14 hours or
Mhm.
something.
As
So,
long as it
but
shows
it's
up in the
reflected on the
history.
board.
Yeah, so there you go. I was just gonna say, as long as it's not in the history tab.
It is in the history
There you
tab.
go.
They recently added the like pre-embargo lift runs, you know, onto the tab. So it's still there. It exists. And I can't complain too much because like that run that I got, that was like the first like record that I got. I put it on YouTube and it like performed like stupid well. I think it's still the best performing like view-wise Sonic Frontier speedrun, even though it's like so outdated at this point.
Mhm. It's just because it was so early, right?
Yeah, the
Everyone's
timing of
like,
it was
"Oh,
just really
shit."
good.
Yeah.
The timing of it was perfect. I think like I also had like a really good thumbnail with it. And it did really well. So, I mean, I can't complain.
There you go. So, yeah, what other games, I guess, if we've covered most of
Dude,
Frontiers?
I'll run you down the list of the Emerldd speed games, but
All
I'll
right.
be very brief because some of them I didn't run for very long. So other Sonic games I've ran, the other main one that wasn't SA2 that I ran was Sonic Heroes. I ran a category. So in Sonic Heroes, there's different teams. Like so like in Sonic Adventure 2, there's Dark Story and Hero Story, right? Sonic Heroes separates that into teams. So there's like Team Sonic, Team Dark, Team Chaotix, and Team Rose. And I ran Team Rose. They all the teams have like different like speed mechanics that you can use. Very cool speed run actually as well. A lot more jank in that run, I would say, compared to most games. Very high actions per minute, lots of button pressing, which is really fun. But I got like second place at the time for a category called Team Rose LTS, which just is limited tech selection. Basically, like there's some really big skips in Sonic Heroes that are kind of like you just do the trick and you finish the stage essentially. Like they're like really big, like I don't know what you would, it's called bot boosting. I guess it's kind of like a zip in a way. Like you just get to like you like use the formation in the game and like put a character in a weird spot so that it like zips you forward essentially. And that's like a really big trick that can be done in like most stages. So like a lot of people these days have been running limited tech selection so that they don't have to do bot boosting and stuff like that.
So this is like a no major glitches kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No major glitches, but there's still like some like skips in it. Just mainly cutting out. That's why it's called limited tech selection and not like glitchless, you know?
Yeah.
So
no,
at the time I got
glitch.
like second place, but after I ran that category, it became so much more popular. And my time that used to be like second is now 30th.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. But that was like 3 years ago. So to be fair.
Still.
But like that game still really picked up in popularity.
Yeah.
I ran Sonic Colors Ultimate for a few months. That game's like okay. There was a lot of issues.
Janky start to that one.
Yeah, Sonic Colors Ultimate just had a really big issue with game crashing. I think it's a dope speed game, but it really killed my motivation to play the game when I would like get runs that were on pace into like the last stage of the run, and the game would crash. And because of the way that Sonic Colors Ultimate runs, like it's done in a game mode called Egg Shuttle, which is just every level back to back to back to back. As opposed to playing the story mode where you have to watch cutscenes and then like be on the world map. It just wastes time essentially. Yeah. But if your game crashes and you quit out, you can't just start an Egg Shuttle run again. Your run is just dead. You have to start from the beginning again. So just another factor for me to not play it. I speed ran I'll finish up the Sonic games first, but The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a visual novel game.
I've always been confused about speedrunning visual novels.
Oh, it sucks.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not.
well,
It's not that deep. I mean, I'm sure there's some visual novels that have like cool skips and like deep mechanics to some degree. I'd say most of them probably don't, which is why they're not very popular speed games. But
yeah.
like, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog absolutely did not have anything that cool about it.
I know, I mean, I played it when it came out. I know it had like kind of a little mini game-esque thing where you collect the rings. I don't know if there's like speed tech to that. Probably not, but
No, you know what
no.
the funny part about that is there's it was a big topic of debate of there's actually a mode in the game called assist mode. If you play with assist mode, you do not have to care about platforming. You don't die. Like if you get hit by the spikes, I think it's like either you don't lose rings or something like that. Basically, it makes those sections like you could just like AFK and you would still win. And the reason why it was like a topic of debate is because by clicking that on, you don't have to interact with that at all. Whereas if you play on like default mode, like normal mode, you do. You have to still like play it out, but like you can't make it any faster than it already is. So there was a big topic of debate of whether or not it should be legalized, and it did get legalized. But I said, fuck that. I'm not playing on that. I'd rather have like because like at the very end of the game, there's still like the final boss fight that's like in that mode. And I thought playing that in assist mode was just so lame because then it just turns the end into like an auto scroller that you can't die in and you just insta win. So it's like, okay, well, I'd rather like make the game more fun. So I did actually have world record in that game for like a little bit. The rest of the run is just optimal, like clicking at the right spots at the right time and mashing your hands into a pulp. Like my hands hurt so bad after grinding that game, but I got the first I believe 21 in that game. So like that was kind of cool, but my record got broken in like a couple months or something like that. Other people wanted to grind it more and beat my record, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going back to that game. It's a visual novel, bro. Like I'm chilling.
Yeah.
So game recently that I started and dropped is Sonic Superstars. Jeez, man. 2D Sonic game. Never ran a 2D Sonic game before that game. And yeah, man, the game's just not that good. It was like fun to play for a little bit, but like there's a lot of issues with it. Bosses suck in that game. We did have a way to skip them all, but actually recently they just patched the game so that none of the boss skips work anymore. Isn't that so neat?
I love that.
The problem with it is that a lot of the bosses are like auto scroller kind of bosses, and like they have insane invulnerability after you hit them. Like in like the classic Sonic games, you know how you can just like kind of wail on a boss, like you just jump on their head a bunch of times and they take like multiple hits. Well, in Superstars, that is not the case. You just get owned and you just have to sit there forever and wait. So game kind of bad. I kind of just gave up on it. And then without explaining all the other ones like super in depth, I've also ran Jack and Daxter. Very random game, but very fun game. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team. That is also just a very different game. Like not a platformer at all, but kind of a fun gamble run. I did like 2 runs of Kirby in the Forgotten Land. I've been speedrunning a ton of Mario 64, dude. That game is cracked. It's too good. I recently got like a 58 and 70, and I've been trying to like learn 120 stuff on the side.
We're very similar skill levels in 70 then. I have a 57.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah. Dude.
So, there we go.
It's cracked.
It is cracked.
Dude, it's like right when I got like my 58, I'm like, wait, things are clicking a little bit too good now. Like I think like things are starting to make like a lot more sense in my head of like just like general timings of like moving around and making Mario fast.
Yeah, Yeah, it's
And
clicking
I'm
for me
just like,
too, but my stick sucks, so I really need
your
to.
stick does suck. I have played on it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so you understand my pain.
Dude, your controller's kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
It's
Um.
you need a new one.
Oh, I don't need a new one. I need like to replace the stick.
Oh yeah, and a new stick at least.
Yeah. I
Um,
like the controller too much to get a new one, but
yeah,
yeah,
the
stick
shell
is
and stuff is
bad.
really cool.
Stick is bad. Yes.
Um, but yeah, Mario's been like insanely fun. It's been like my big like side project, I'd say. Like I've been playing like a little bit every day. Um, learning 120 is a little bit hard.
Yeah. That's why I
Um,
haven't yet.
yeah, I've been trying to like learn just a star here and there when I'm feeling motivated. The bright side is like, at least the base 70 knowledge exists.
Hmm.
So
That's
it's like
over
at
half
least I
of
don't
it.
have to learn 70 other stars, or I don't have to learn like 70 stars before I learn the other ones. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's nice. That's a fun game to just practice too. That's what I
Mhm.
do. Just like, oh, I'm bored. Let's play Mario 64 for 30 minutes just because it's fun.
Yeah, and like with like, you know, Usamune, it's just like the easiest thing, and it's like
Oh
the best
god, yeah.
practice tool to exist. So
It's really good, yeah. Can't argue with that.
and then like the only other two speedruns I've done that are like like not on the boards of anything. Well, actually no, one of them is, but they're two like in real life speedrun things. I speedran sharpening pencils, like the whole small ant thing.
Yeah.
Um and then very recently I got the world record for peeling an orange.
Okay. Awesome.
um so that was kind of neat. It's actually so crazy too, because that is that time like what leaderboard it's on. Like the pencil sharpening one makes sense because it's like like it was like pencil sharpening simulator or something
Hmm.
like
And
that,
it's
and
like
then
the
they like
real
had an
life
IRL tab.
category. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is not.
Mm.
This is actually on the Sonic Adventure DX category extension boards.
Why?
I don't know. I have no clue. Just at some point, somebody was like, "We should put this on the category extension boards because it would be funny for SATX." And then I saw the runs of people doing it, and I was like, "I should do that." And then
All right.
I beat the time, and I got the record on the boards, which sadly, unfortunately, is not the record for um like the actual all-time record. There is like video evidence of like the fastest orange peel, and it's by like a second. I guess I want to say it's like a second faster than mine,
Mm.
but whatever.
No,
I
no,
don't know if
no
I'm trying to
Guinness
beat
plaque
that.
for you.
No Guinness plaque, but that's whatever. I'm still gonna make probably a video about the orange peel thing because I think it's funny.
It is pretty
Um,
funny.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's like most of my speedrunning history.
Yeah. It's a shame hearing that Superstars isn't that great. I'm like a 2D Sonic guy, if I'm a Sonic guy at all. I've ran Sonic
Mhm.
2.
Oh, nice, dude. That game's I
It's
hear
so good.
pretty hard.
It, yeah, I did. Well, modern day, I can't say it, but I was gonna say I did like most of the tricks, but
Okay.
nowadays, no, not for like 2019-ish. Yeah,
Mhm.
I did a lot of them. Now it like
I
every
would say that I
stage
think
has something.
what's up?
I was just like now every stage has like something almost, and yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
I
would
did
say,
not do
surprisingly
everything.
enough, like that run has changed a lot, I think, in the last few years. So,
Oh yeah, it popped off pretty hard,
mhm.
but yeah, that's an awesome game, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a shame that Superstars did bad because I was really excited because I don't run many 2D games. I'm more of a 3D guy.
Hmm.
I'd say like generally as far as like gaming goes, I've always been more of a 3D guy because like my first video game ever was Mario 64. Um, and like from then on, like I just played 3D platformers like mostly growing up. Like I barely even knew that 2D platformers existed that much until I was older.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I was really excited for the opportunity to like try to run a new 2D Sonic game, um, and like just kind of be with the game like throughout its like duration or whatever. But then like there are just so many problems with it, and like unfortunately too, like not even to like there's just nobody who wants to step up to be like the moderator of the game is another thing too. So there's like an issue with like the boards and stuff. Like there's people that are like vaguely like they're kind of like, yeah, we'll be mods because like we need mods, right? But like the boards are just very like lazily like thrown together because of like general classic Sonic games, they're broken up by character, right? Like that just makes sense because like when you pick a file or like when you're doing a new file, you pick your character and then that's the character you play the whole time.
And they usually have differences that make them all unique in some way.
Exactly. Now they did that for Superstars, but it makes less sense because you can change characters whenever you want.
Interesting.
And it makes even less sense for how they broke it up because not only do they have like multiple character, like there's a tab for each character on SRC, but they have a tab for story mode multiple characters, which is like, okay, then you would theoretically be like, okay, well that's like the main like category that people would play. And it was because at first we thought it would be faster to start as Sonic, and then like at a certain point you have to change to Tails. To like do a trick that makes it like it's like there was a trick that was like a clip out of bounds that was way easier with Tails. So you just do that and then like play Tails the rest of the run. So then that was like, okay, well this is like the any percent. This is fine, like multiple characters. But then we found a lot more stuff with Tails, and Tails became just the best character to play. But now does that mean I have to submit it as a Tails run, or would I still submit it as the multiple characters beat the game because that's still the main like any percent category of the game? Right? But there's nothing really to like separate that well. Like there's no just like any percent. Like it's beat the game, story mode, multiple characters, or all Tails. And it's like, okay, that just gets like crazy confusing. And then it's been like a whole thing. And then not to mention again, like the patch that like patched all the skips out that we found over like all the boss skips and stuff, which made the game a lot better. But now they're gone. And I think that the general like feeling of the game would most people are just going to down patch because luckily even console can down patch because it's the first patch that the game released on that like all the skips work. So, but still,
yeah, no. It sounds like a pain in the ass. Yeah.
It's a mess, and again, it's nobody's fault. Like I'm not trying to like place blame on like somebody and be like, hey, you should be doing this or whatever. It's just that like nobody wants to step up. I mean, I don't want to step up. I'll be real. I'm not trying to be the guy. I'm not passionate enough about Superstars to care about that. So, like, and plus, like, I stream, like, I don't really want to spend like a lot of free time trying to like organize speedrunning community. And God, there was one last thing. Oh, well, another thing that's just like a personal gripe is like I'm so spoiled with like all the speed games I run. They have their own personal Discords, but like the classic Sonic Discord, like it's all in one place. And as a result, there's only 3 channels for all of the like tech and stuff that we talk about in like that Discord. So it was just like really hard to find like all the resources were there for like if you wanted to like figure out how to do a skip with Amy or Tails or something for like a specific stage, but then like it was a lot more work to like comb through the 3 channels to find it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there needs to be like separate channels per game for that kind of
stuff. Yeah,
I
just made it was just another barrier for me to be like, all right, this is like too hard to find stuff, and it makes me want to play the game less. So
is the game at least okay casually?
It's a good game to get discounted.
I see.
I would wait. I would tell everybody to wait for a sale because it's just like it's a full price game that it will take you if you do everything, because there's like main story, I don't know if you know about, it's kind of a spoiler, the other playable character.
Well,
that's not like Sonic, Amy, Tails, Knuckles.
I guess I don't personally. I mean, I don't really care, but
okay, well, I'll just say it then. It's there's another character that gets introduced in the game named Trip, and she's a character that you run into in the story, and then after you finish the story, you can play through the game on hard mode with her. There's more enemies, more obstacles, but same stage layouts. And then there's after you beat her side story with like different she has different boss fights, I think, or like she has a different final boss fight for sure. Then you unlock last story, and then there's like a supersonic fight.
I see.
I
assumed it would
so
have
like
been
there's
like Fang or
content. There's like a
something.
decent amount of content, but is it worth the full price? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. It's no Mania.
No.
No.
no. Mania
sense.
is like leagues better. I think most people would agree for that.
Oh yeah. That's like my favorite Sonic game ever. I'm a 2D enjoyer again, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, and Mania is just really dope. I don't, like I said, I don't even like 2D games that much, and Sonic Mania is baller. So, but yeah, it's definitely a game you got to get on sale, because paying full price just feels like you're kind of getting robbed a little bit. So,
all they had to do was make Mania 2. What are they doing?
You know, I think something about like the OG guy who made it, Christian Whitehead, like he had disagreements with Sega, and then they were like, okay, well, now we can't make Mania 2 because Christian Whitehead made Mania. So they had to like pivot and do something different. And I don't understand kind of why they decided to go for this like 2.5D style of like characters. Like they could just go back to the pixel, like the sprites and stuff, and people would be so happy. But I don't mind the style. I think the style looks good. It's just that like in execution, like a lot of the boss fights and stuff, it plays clunky, it plays slow. Like this is like the soundtrack for the game isn't that good, which is like a really crazy thing to say about a Sonic game. Because if they make a bad game, they normally always kill it with that. But there's just a lot more forgettable tracks in this game. Like there's a couple of still really good songs. Like Speed Jungle Act 1 is like a song I think everybody should listen to because it's such a bop. But everything else, it's just like, it's, you know, it's a song.
It exists.
So. They tried to play too hard into like making it sound like a Genesis style for like a lot of the songs. Not every song sounds like that, but like most of them, it's just like they tried too hard to make it sound old, and it sounds bad. So,
I see. God, there's something I was gonna bring up, but I have forgotten. Oh well.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Was it related to like Superstars or like something else speedrunning wise?
I think it was just another game mentioned, but God.
I could run down my list. It's it's not that long.
Nah, it's fine. I mean, covered most of it. But yeah, so God, I'm blanking. My brain, it's not working. Unfortunately.
Help.
No, help. Please think of something to talk about.
I mean, it could be like I said, one of the games. It could just be like, dude, I could talk a lot about just like my general perspective on like speedrunning as like a hobby.
I mean, that's a good place to go to. Yeah. I mean, if whatever I forgot probably wasn't important if I forgot it. So we can move on.
Yeah. I mean, like speedrunning is like just generally as a hobby has been so, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like, it's fulfilling. That's like a great way to put it. It's fulfilling because it's like one of those things where you spend a lot of time learning how to get good at something while enjoying it. And then the feeling of like that personal growth is good. Like it's just sick because then like not only can you take like the skills from like learning how to speedrun a game to like other games, and then just kind of like continue the endless cycle of like brain feel good with getting a bunch of PBs and like starting to like have a game click for you. But then you can take those skills and attribute it to like literally anything else in life. Like you wanted to get good at an instrument, you probably have the tools to do so because you learned how to do it from speedrunning. Like how you practice, how much you should practice, like, you know, goals for yourself. Like getting like some sort of PB, which like for like an instrument would just be like, oh, I want to play this song. You know, just like stuff like that. And I think that's why speedrunning is so neat. Because I think like some people like you can also take like the competitive aspect too, right? Like I love being competitive. Being competitive is fun. Um, and so like there's the leaderboard if you're like interested in that kind of thing, but like at the end of the day, you're still trying to just beat your best time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. However you want to approach it, it works out pretty well.
mhm.
Which is
How do
good.
you feel about speedrunning? What is
Oh,
your general
putting me
take
on the
on
spot?
speedrunning?
Okay.
Yep, you're on the spot.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's an acceptable answer, but I mean it's just like if you think about speedrunning, why do you enjoy it? I think it's like a good way.
God, I mean, I yeah, I mean, I could
Even if
talk
it's a
about
similar
it
answer to
forever.
me, like
Yeah,
you
I
could say
mean,
the same thing.
I don't know, it's just fun. Yeah, I love video games, so
Hmm.
and you can play games you would have no other reason to play multiple times. Now you have a reason to play it again. There's a
Hmm.
huge community aspect that's enjoyable. It's
Dude,
one of
yeah,
the
I didn't even
yeah,
touch on the community aspect. That's
it's
pretty
one of the
huge.
most like nicest communities too, and it has all this charity aspect to it too. It's I
Hmm.
mean it's hella popular now on the internet, at least
Yeah,
especially compared to what it used to be. So it's just
it's so
super
weird.
interesting.
I'd say like with the popularity of speedrunning, it's so interesting because it's like it has become a lot more popular. Like I think a lot more people generally understand what speedrunning is now,
Hmm.
but it's still also extremely niche still.
Yeah, it is.
um I wish that it could like be more than what it is, but I think the biggest downside to speedrunning is that like not a lot of people are going to have the brainworms that we have where it's like they can deal with watching somebody reset a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they can't
Yeah.
it's a lot harder I think for like a casual person to like come into a stream watching like a top level runner reset to like Dark World for 120 or something or like Womps like
Hmm.
endlessly. They're like why do they keep doing this? Like what is the point of me watching this?
Hmm.
And I I feel like if people got to watch like the more like mid-level runners because they're like just less likely to reset, right? Like from like a starting viewing perspective, I think that they would be more likely to get it. But like those people are generally not going to have like the same kind of viewership, right?
Hmm.
Like the top level people are going to have the viewership, so that's the stream that they're going to click into and be like, "What's going on here? Like why are they
Hmm.
doing this?" And then they just might leave and just not get it.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
So
Also, someone followed your stream as you were talking.
yeah, I did see that. I didn't realize that I would get the notif there, so I should
That's funny.
let me just hide that real
Uh,
quick.
but yeah, it's something I've noticed as it's gotten more popular. Like the traditional side of things hasn't, just because yeah, like unless you're like really into speed running just in general, yeah, like that's gonna
Hmm.
be you'd rather just see the final product, and that's gonna be on YouTube or something. You'd rather not like see the constant resets and be like, oh, whatever. Unless it's like a top level player, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's kind of unfortunate because back in the day, like that's what everyone was into. And
Hmm.
yeah, as it's got more popular again, it's kind of fallen off. But I mean, it is cool to see it take off the way it has, at least.
Yeah. I think like YouTube has done like a lot better of a job at like kind of expanding the speedrun audience too. Cause even if it's like not necessarily just like speed runs, it's like speedrunning adjacent content,
Hmm.
like the game challenge stuff or whatever. Because like it's actually so crazy to think about how hard it is for somebody to find speedrunning. Because like if you're finding it on Twitch, first you have to find Twitch, which like Twitch in itself is already pretty niche.
Hmm.
Um, but then on like the niche, like Twitch being niche in itself, then you have to find another even more niche community of speedrunning. And then once you make it to the speedrunning stream, you have to like sit there and watch it and try to like understand what's happening.
Hmm.
Unless like your first exposure is like GDQ. Um, which I think like does like a pretty okay job at like relaying to like the casual audience who doesn't know like shit about speedrunning, like kind of they help to like understand it better because like all I'm saying is like if I'm doing like SA2 attempts, I'm not talking about the game all the time.
Hmm.
In fact, I'm barely talking about the game unless like somebody really asks me a question. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think a lot of people are similar in that regard. So it's just like if they click on the stream, they might be afraid to ask what's happening, especially if they're new to Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So then they just sit there and they're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna go click on this other stream. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it is really hard. I found speedrunning on accident, so it's interesting. Which is funny because a lot of the things I like watched back then, I still kind of watch now here and there. And now, like, some of those people will make like speedrun jokes or references to it. So it's like, I guess maybe later I would have found out about it, but yeah, I was just on. I was looking for like a game soundtrack on YouTube, and a Summoning Salt video popped up for that game. I was like, "What is this?" And here we are. It's so weird.
Crazy how the world works sometimes, dude.
How did it know?
Yeah.
Thank God it knew. But it's funny. But yeah, like traditional stuff has definitely died down a bit. But yeah, I mean, content is just whoosh, so high. I mean, you even do that now quite a bit.
Yeah, I've definitely, I think it's so weird because like I want to be, so like I am a full-time content creator. Like I do like YouTube and like Twitch and stuff. And as great as it would be to just degen a game and like put my everything into it and get really good at it, become the best at it, it does not necessarily, like, it sometimes can like carry into like growth as a content creator to just be really good at a game, but more often than not it doesn't. Right?
Especially now, like in the past it kind of used to, but
it
just
did
because that was the only kind of content.
There was so little of those people though.
Yeah,
now there's so many.
no. Yeah, there's just no shot. Yeah,
speedrunning is a lot more accessible. A lot more people are like, I mean, part of the reason why I didn't speedrun before was just because I didn't have a PC to stream or like to record runs. So now that's like a lot more commonplace. Like a lot of people have like at least a decent level of PC, at least good enough to like capture gameplay and then at least record their runs, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's not as mystifying anymore, you know? Like,
yeah,
people kind of get the idea of what speedrunning is, and if they like it, they watch it, and if they don't, they're like, oh well, maybe I'll check out like a game or two that I care about and then maybe not look at it again.
Yeah, like all the information is now there just because it's so big now. So anything you want to know, you can just kind of find on YouTube pretty easily or whatever. You don't have to like sit down and watch someone play for 5 hours to figure it out.
Yep.
And it's a little sad, but also it like makes perfect sense. Like
yeah, I mean, it is kind of sad for me because as much as I would just love to just grind a game and just get really good at it and then just be able to grow off of that, very few people I think exist that can do that and actually make it work. Like, because what I will say is it's very easy to get really good at a game, get like some viewership on Twitch for it, but like outside of just having good viewership on Twitch, they're like not really doing much outside of that to grow. So like it looks good because they might have like a few hundred viewers, but like they're not really growing. They just have like that base audience. Sometimes it's crazy because there'll be people who have like a few hundred viewers, but their subs aren't that high because they're just like not very interactive with their community. They don't really do that. All they do is speedrun. So like they just have like a really good base, but like they're just like watching on the second monitor most of the time. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily as invested in you as like a content person. So like I think like even though like people can grow there's very few people who grow to that point, but then like take it past that. Like they're making YouTube videos, they're making shorts, or like they're like trying to be like a better entertainer on top of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like all the people that have built it before then are like built it a long time ago and have just maintained that same kind of audience. That's what I kind of noticed. Nowadays, you have to do something else. You just have to.
Absolutely. And that's not to say that those people can't do that.
Oh, no,
like,
not at all.
That's obviously something that they can like take the extra effort to do. It's just that like it's very easy to become complacent when it's just like you see good viewership number and you're like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like that's good enough.
Like
You know
you
what I
can
mean?
settle. That's fine, too.
Yeah, and it all depends on everybody's goals too, because
Hmm.
like not everybody's goal is to be content creator person.
Yeah,
So
no. Yeah. You can make it work usually, but yeah, you just if you want to like make it big, yeah, you can't just do traditional speedrunning like you used to. Like a Saglemic isn't gonna happen again. Like you can't just grind
yeah,
for 12 hours a day at world record level and be like, here's 20,000 viewers, enjoy. Nah, that's not how
yeah.
it is anymore.
Those days are definitely long gone, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
it was cool. It was a cool era to have, I think, and I think they at least like kind of set like the foundation. Like there's just
yeah.
a bunch of people like we said that know about speedrunning now. So
Hmm. I mean, speedrunning and Twitch like grew together, so it's been
mhm.
around as long. So it's nice that they've grown together. And now they're both. I mean, Twitch is obviously a lot more massive, but speedrunning is pretty big in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, with it has come so many people, and it's gonna be hard to get recognized. Even if you're good, like you're not gonna. It's too hard to get recognized unless you like do something significant. And
Yeah,
a bit
I think like
unfortunate, but yeah.
yeah, it's kind of sad too because there's definitely some people that still think like, oh, if I get world record in this game, or like, oh, if I get like a run at GDQ, like I'm just
Oh
gonna
no,
hop off.
no, not at all.
Not at all.
I can tell you firsthand. Nope, not which is
Yeah, I
fine,
mean,
but yeah.
it used to be like that though. It definitely did, but
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, you were on
there's
GDQ. Here's like 4,000 viewers. Now it's like, here's 50 if you're lucky, I guess.
yeah, if you're lucky. There's like I think the big boost from it is just that you'll get more people that'll like it's it's just like marketing in any sense. Like it's the brand recognition. Like they see you at GDQ, if they see you on Twitch, they'll be like, "Wait a minute. I know that guy."
Hmm.
And then like they might click on your stream. Might check you out, right? But other than that, not much more than that, you know?
Yeah, no,
So,
not anymore. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it's the pros and cons. Like it being bigger, like obviously awesome, but yeah, I mean there are downsides to it. It's hard to
mhm,
be good and have it like worth your time almost.
mhm.
Because yeah, I mean most people don't care. Like as long as you're having fun, that should always be the priority. But I mean it just
Yeah,
sucks because so many people put in so much effort and don't really get anything out of it, and they kind of deserve to because I mean they're helping
they do.
speedrunning in some regard, like more than most people probably. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just the
hard.
thing.
It's a hard thing to balance, but it's all again, it's all goals based. Like
Hmm.
if your goal is to grow as a content creator, then you gotta do stuff that's more content related rather than speedrun related. And
Yeah.
like you can still use speedrunning in the content, obviously,
Hmm.
but it definitely is. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to learn. It's a very difficult thing to do. Um, I got a lot of respect for the same people that are going on the journey that I'm on with that because it's just a lot of work.
Hmm.
Um, but it does feel fulfilling for me, at least. You know, like it won't be for everybody, and that's why some people would just rather just grind games and be the go to the game because
Hmm.
that just feels fulfilling in itself.
Yep.
Um, and it's also not to say that like if you become the goat of a game or just like really good at a game, like you could definitely just then start making content about the game.
Hmm.
So,
Probably the best thing to do, honestly.
mhm.
If you want to go that route, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um. Oh yeah. I think this was like right after a pace, but there was like some big. Well, I don't know how big it was, but there was like some Sonic specific thing, and you were a part of it. I just remember
Oh,
this on
Sonic
Twitter.
Expo. Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right.
I went to a convention for like this Sonic event that happened, and I was a guest.
Mm,
Um, that was really cool. We were supposed to do like a speedrunning type thing for it, but like stuff with like the production side of things kind of fell through, so I wasn't able to do a run there. Um, but like my original goal, like when they originally invited me, they weren't expecting me to do like a run there. Like they were just kind of expecting me to like show up as a content person, which
mm,
was really cool, and just like do little fun activities in front of an audience with the other Sonic content creators. Um, so yeah, unfortunately that wasn't very much speedrunning related, but it was still cool. I got to meet like a bunch of because I haven't gotten really the opportunity to meet a lot of the other like other Sonic content creator people. but that was a good excuse too.
Mm-hmm.
They were all super nice. The event was really cool. The only thing that sucked about it is it was pretty expensive for me to go because it was in Texas, and it was
Ooh,
also the same week as Pace.
yeah, that's what I remembered. That's why I remembered it.
Yeah, I had to leave Thursday of like I got there for Pace on Saturday, and I stayed from Saturday until Thursday, and then I drove home on Thursday to Virginia Beach. So it was like I don't know, it's like 5-hour drive or so. And then the next day, me and Dawn, because Dawn traveled with me, other SA2 guy, we flew to Texas from there, and it's just like it's a long day,
Yeah, I can
long day.
imagine.
But the event was super fun. Just a lot of money.
Yeah, I assume like a lot of the creators they invited, or like all kinds, you like kind of represented the speedrunning side of it, maybe.
Yes, I was a
Okay.
speedrun guy, and the really cool thing, is this isn't really a leak because there's not anything set in stone quite yet.
Mhm.
But the same people that are running Sonic Expo really want to do a speedrunning type, probably more geared towards Sonic, but like a Sonic speedrunning convention type thing.
Hmm.
Slash like thing for like tournaments, stuff like that.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that's gonna look like. But the director of Sonic Expo like personally has like talked to me about it. Like I've talked to her about it like in a call. And she really wants to like she's still kind of in the phase of like the aftermath of Sonic Expo, I think, before like preparing for the next event, but she really wants to do an event like that in the future.
Mhm.
So that could be really big for like Sonic speedrunning stuff.
That's very interesting because there's not a lot of like stuff like that unless it's like a speedrunning charity event thing, like Pay CSA, GDQ, etc. Those kind of
Yeah.
things. There's not like
And
a just go here for fun. I mean, everyone goes there for fun, but there's like it's not like an expo like most gaming things are. Like I
yeah.
don't know, too many games or whatever
And
else there is.
I don't know how they're going to spin it. They might end up spinning it as like a charity event of some kind,
I mean,
but
that's fine.
I
Nothing wrong with charity. Let me
yeah,
let me be
absolutely.
clear. I'm just saying, like, when you think of like a speedrunning event, you think of those kind of things, and this would sounds like it'd be unique and different. It'd be like
She
again an
made it
expo.
sound like the way that she wants to do it is more of like this is a Sonic convention, but also there's like a few competitive like events going on for speedrunning type things.
I see.
So I don't know what that's gonna look like. I mean, she probably doesn't even know what that's gonna look like low key. So we'll see.
Sounds
But
interesting.
it should be huge.
Yeah, that'd be big. I mean, Sonic speedrunning is pretty large, so plenty of games to choose from. Get them all in one spot because
Yeah,
you
for
just have
sure.
like GDQs for that, paces and whatever for that right now, but that can't. Obviously, that just has everyone. So it'd be nice to have, I guess, a more centered around a specific community type deal.
Absolutely. I mean, like, kind of Pace in a way is also kind of centered around Mario. I mean, obviously they're trying their best to like spread their wings a bit. Like, obviously they had the SA2 LTA that I was in. But I think an event the more events like that exist, the better for speedrunning just generally. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see where it goes. Like I said, still very early on in the stages of that, but sometime next year there may be some sort of Sonic speedrunning event.
That'd be really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm running out of things to talk about. Have we?
Hey, that's fair. We had a
missed
good
anything?
sesh.
Yeah. Did I miss anything in your history that you think is noteworthy?
Let me think. I don't really think so. I mean,
Hey, if I'm doing my job well, that's good for me.
yeah. Yeah, I think I touched on pretty much everything. That's like super notable. So,
yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. What about future plans? How about that?
Future plans. Well, I plan on playing more SA2, just because I want to get the 21 for Hero. Might start learning more Dark after I get that goal. We'll see. Or potentially might start running the 100% category of that game, which is 180. 180 emblems.
Yeah.
I really want to run 120. I've been grinding, like I said, a lot of Mario. I've been having like so much fun playing it.
You're halfway
So like
there with
that's like
70, so.
huh?
You're halfway there with 70, so.
Yep. I've been, just trying to grind out more 70 to get a better time, as well as learning stars on the side when I can for 120. And so eventually that's going to be like a mini grind for me. Unfortunately, because I'm mostly Sonic guy, it's not going to be like my main content thing or anything like that. But I'll still definitely be streaming like Mario, like here and there. You know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with branching out.
I've kind of like over time made Mario like the secondary thing that I do. Like I streamed a lot of hours of Mario this year, of Mario 64. So my community is kind of like warmed up to it and like kind of like started to enjoy it,
I mean, if they like watching SA2B, I mean, again, it's one of those like movement heavy things. It's a good transition.
I feel like it's very adjacent, right? It's not like I went from speedrunning Sonic to speedrunning like an RPG, right?
Yeah, that'd be quite the change. So
yeah, I mean, I have tried. I mean, obviously, like I said, I did Pokemon Mystery Dungeon for a little bit, but like that was always like a side thing. It was never like something I ever planned on being like oh yeah, I'm going to run this game for a long time and seriously,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a one-off for fun kind of thing.
Yeah,
this can be quite fun. That's why I like those 12-hour challenges.
Yeah, those are fun.
Oh yeah,
they can be a little bit draining depending on the game.
But you also don't have to do it all at once. Like I usually split it up between a couple days.
That's smart.
Yeah.
The 12-hour challenges I've done them in one stream.
I couldn't do that. That's too much.
I did it for Breath of the Wild. Have you ever ran Breath of the Wild at all?
I've barely played Breath of the Wild. There's
you
so many.
Played it?
I played like an hour. I don't know.
No way.
I'm really bad at playing games. Just yeah.
That's the speedrunner brain rot, man.
Yeah, especially now. If I'm gonna play a game, just like I'll practice a speedrun. Like that's more beneficial to me. So
it's hard to get yourself out of that mindset, and obviously maybe you don't want to get out of that mindset. But for me, I did. And the way that I did it was I forced myself to take just like a little bit of time off and play a game I wanted to play. And then it made me feel better about it because I was like, well, this is still like, because like, yeah, I definitely get the mindset of like it not being beneficial because it's like if I have free time to play games, why am I not practicing my main speed game to try to get better?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the aspects that I look at it, that like I really like the ability to be able to connect with people more and like play a game that like I also played Tears of the Kingdom, so being able to play TOTK and then share that experience with other like people in the space or just like my stream, stuff like that, just to talk about it. I really value that. And I also just really value video games as like an art form. I really, really enjoy like set pieces in games, story, characters, like all that stuff. So, but I'm also just like a nerd.
Yeah.
So
aren't we all?
I'm just a big fat nerd. So I really had to like meticulously work casual gaming back into my scheduling. And even now, like I'm still bad at it. Like right now, like I'm in like the funk of like, okay, sometimes I practice Mario. Okay, sometimes I practice Melee. Okay, sometimes I want to play Call of Duty because I still kind of like playing Call of Duty a little bit on the side. It's a very head empty game. No thought. Just move around, click heads. That's it, So I'm pretty bad with it too right now. But I'm just saying if you ever want to suggest just like the couple days break, pick a game, be like, I'm playing this game. That's my thing I'm doing. And blah, blah, blah.
I played Wonder when it came out, so I can still kind of do it.
True.
But,
Wonder was cool.
Oh my God. Such a good game. I think they did it. They got rid of the new formula. Thank fucking God.
Dude, I was so sick of it. I was just very checked out of 2D Mario games for a bit because they kept going back to that style. And I was just like, I'm good. Like it felt like I already played this game a billion times. But Wonder just has so much like personality and like the animation is just so good. And they really tried to make it different, and it's still like the essence of like 2D Mario. So it's a good game.
After Maker, I thought they were just done. So
They could have just like dropped the mic there and just been like, from now on we just release updates to Maker and just have like Maker
but
3,
no,
Maker 4.
they fucking did it. They did it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Oh yeah. Have you ever done anything with GDQ at all?
So Sonic Frontiers was there for a SGDQ this year. And I commentated that. I wasn't the main person running it. Alpha, who was in here earlier, was the one who ran it. He is very good, and at the time he was just way more deserving of running the game then too, because at that point I had already like started to burn out and like take my like little bit of time off. Bro was grinding, and he had record at the time, so
worked out pretty well then.
yeah, and it was great to be there. It was so nerve-wracking to be the first run of the event though. Jesus.
Oh yeah, it was the first.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the first run of the event. It was the first time that all three of us had been on stage with Alpha, me, and then Dawn also commentating. First time we had all been up on stage, and it's just like, oh, the nerves were insane. But and then there was a bunch of tech issues too with the
always
run.
are at the start.
Yeah, there was like an issue with Alpha's monitor flickering. We had there was like weird ear ringing that was happening in the headsets, and I think in the like main room as well. One of the projectors went down in the main room too. It was just like there's so much, but we powered through. I think like all things considered, you look at the run, you couldn't tell that there was that much bad things going on. You know, like it was still a really well done run by Alpha, and I think like we did a really good job like commentating it as well.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I've done a few hot fixes, and I'm going to do like actually a hot fix in like a few days here too. So
nice. Yeah. Was this the most recent GDQ?
Yeah.
Like this
most
year?
recent
Okay.
GDQ.
Trying to remember. Because you know that was a new venue. That was in downtown.
The Minnesota one?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was a new one.
They would always have it at this DoubleTree, like kind of outside the city, but this one was like straight in the middle of downtown at that Hilton. So yeah, it was like this new place. So yeah, it was just very interesting.
That was my first GDQ. Like the first time like I went in person. So
that was my 5th. And I would have gone to more if COVID wasn't a bitch. Yeah. But you know, unfortunately.
For me for a while it was like I had to juggle. It was either I go to spend money to go to Smash tournament or I go to GDQ. And like for a while I just had more friends in the Smash community. Now I have a lot more speedrunning friends. But like back then I didn't. So it was just like way more, it felt way smarter for me to just spend the money on going to Smash tournaments instead.
Yeah. But yeah, that SGDQ was so sick. So
yeah, dope event. I would love to go to another one. I'm not going to AGDQ, but I'll probably go to SGDQ.
Yeah. I mean, I was in SGDQ that final day. Ugh. Now that's when it's really hard. That's when everyone's
that was
there.
nerve-wracking.
Oh, you know, luckily I only did the best run of my life, so thank God. But
dude, that's hype though. You clutched it out in the like the most stressful moment, you know?
Yeah, it was a time to be had. But yeah, I'm in GDQ again, so
that'll be dope. What are you doing this time?
2J Warpless. It's a race. So
oh, cool. Dope.
It'll be good. But yeah, lot of money to be spent. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's partially why I'm not going to AGDQ. I also had to get myself a new PC recently because
ooh yeah,
my other one was blue screening a lot, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was time to upgrade. But my PC had lasted me since like 2018. So
yeah. See, I keep getting really unlucky. I keep getting accepted to speedrun events. So rip. I gotta go to them all. Unfortunately.
Dang, man. Aw, dude. It's like, man, I'm so good at games, bro. My life's so hard.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for my wallet, but
yeah, that's fair.
That's the only thing I'm complaining about. But yeah, what am I at? I think I made 3 paces in a row, now 2 GDQs. It's like, okay. Like, obviously I'd go anyway, but it's nice to have an excuse, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'm still broke.
Still gotta spend the money.
Unfortunately.
It's not like they pay for everybody to come out. You know what I mean?
It'd be nice. I mean, at least GDQ, they waived the badge fee. which is always nice.
Mhm.
Because those have just got more and more expensive. I remember they were like 60 and now they're like 80. I mean, that's just
Mm.
inflation, I guess, but
Yeah.
so it's nice they do that at least. But yeah, I mean,
I'm lucky that at least for Pace, like Pace is drivable for me. Like it's
yeah,
still kind
that's
of a far
nice.
drive, but it's like drivable, so I can like go and not spend a bunch of money, especially with the sleep in prices.
Ah, and, you know, that's the only upside to the sleep in. It's cheap, but boy, they let you know it's cheap.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a pretty awful hotel, but it doesn't matter because you're spending next to nothing and like feeling like pretty decent about it because you can go on a trip
Hmm.
there. As opposed to like GDQ. GDQ, it's like, okay, I'm dropping at least a band. Like I'm dropping I gotta pay for probably a flight, hotel, all the food I'm gonna eat there all week and stuff.
Yeah, that's an easy
Eh,
like $500+ investment.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
if you get like a room of 4 people for the week or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, especially if you can drive to Pace. Like I don't have that luxury. It's still like $300 flight, but yeah, that's like less than 500 with a
Yeah.
room full of people. That's super nice. But yeah.
Yeah, so like basically it's a no-brainer for me to always go to Pace. The only thing that again that really sucked was having it be the same weekend as Sonic Expo, but hopefully next year they're not on the same like week so that I'm
Hmm.
not like doing crazy travel because I would definitely go to Sonic Expo again.
You,
But
you could probably I know you said you're not going to GDQ, but I mean that's drivable where it is right now for AGDQ. That's in Pittsburgh.
yeah, it's like 10
Oh, is it that much
hours.
more?
I live in the bottom right corner of Virginia.
Oh, okay. I see.
So it's kind of like it's doable. Actually, I
That's
don't know if
less
it's 10.
doable. That's less doable. I assumed it would be like not as far away if you were as close to Pace and said Virginia, but
Hmm.
yeah, not if you're that far east.
I
I
think
didn't realize.
I would have to look for sure, but I think it's closer to 10. Like if I looked in the GPS, it would tell me like probably like 8 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like with all the traffic, it's
Yeah,
gonna
no.
be 10. And of course stopping because with a trip that long, you definitely don't
Yeah,
like just go the whole time.
yeah.
So
I had my geography a bit wrong there, so ignore me, I guess, because at
no,
that
you're
rate
good.
I
You're
could
good.
drive to SGDQ. It's 9.5 hours, but I fly there because the flight is less than an hour.
Yeah, when it becomes like a I don't know if it's more than 6 hours, my brain is like, all right, I'm gonna have to pay a lot for gas anyway. Like I might as
Yeah,
well just
exactly.
spend the extra little bit to fly.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's good that Pace is close enough at least. Although
mhm.
now that article came out that they're like gonna shut down that racetrack, now I'm so fucking scared. What are
Yeah,
they
I don't
gonna
even know
do?
what they're gonna do, man. I don't know where they're gonna go. I hope they figure it out. Um, I'm sure like the people of like Xanadu and stuff will figure it out. You
Hmm.
know, like all the BG bootcamp people that like run like the
Yeah.
main venue for the, like the gaming side of stuff. Like I think they'll figure it out, and then like in like at the same time, then Milo will also be able to figure it out because he just has to kind of like figure out where they're going to like go with them so that they can like give us the equipment to like do the event.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Unfortunate.
have a feeling it'll still be like, you know, MDVA area. Um, I just don't know what's gonna happen to it though. Hopefully they can figure it out though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they're planning on shutting it down, or even if they're going to. I just saw that article and I was like, uh-oh.
I think the article said sometime at the beginning of the year, so like
Dang.
it would be before summer pace that it would happen. I think.
Yikes. Well, that sucks. I didn't actually know
Yeah.
that. Well,
I don't quote me on that because I think that's just like because I didn't read the whole article. I just kind of like perused it, and
yeah.
I think I saw something like they have to like get like a certain amount of money by like February or something like that. And if they don't, like the only way that they're gonna be able to like not sell the place is if the city or something gives them a bunch of money or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
I don't know. It's all complicated.
Yeah.
Definitely not my area of expertise, but just unfortunate. Hopefully all is good. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind a different venue. I like the venue, but the
I would like a different
location,
venue.
I do not
I would
like
like
the
a different
location.
venue.
Yes.
Yeah.
The venue's
I'm
nice, the location is not great.
yeah, Laurel is not a very cool place, but I mean that's just because
I
that's just where
fucking
Xanadu is.
love Laurel, I say. not sarcastically.
Nah, it's awful. It's so bad. The food choices at least are good around there at that like shopping center area.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess, but like the quality of food in Laurel though, oh my god, it's
yeah, true,
not.
true. I think the big thing for me is like I said, I play a lot of competitive Smash, so like I've been to that venue for a lot of other Smash tournaments. So like my first pace that I went, which I went for the first time in the summer, um, that would have been like my like 10th time, like not exaggerating, 10th time at that venue probably.
Mm.
So it just doesn't feel very like exciting or like
Mm-hmm.
different. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm here again. It's just for a different event now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not into Smash, so yeah, and
Mm,
I'm far away, so it was very
mhm.
new to me. And I mean, it looks so nice. They just need to take that venue and push it somewhere else, not
And put
Laurel.
it somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, the screen's cool. The other room they have is nice. Be nice if they had a few more televisions, but other than that, like the room is so nice. But
Mhm.
oh my
I
god,
think like wherever they go, they should be able to move a lot of that stuff with them. But
hopefully,
we'll see. Time
yep,
will tell.
hopefully it'll all work out. But yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, are we done here? I talk about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good. Hey man, it's your show.
It
When we're
is
done, we're
mine.
done.
Hey, uh, I'm bad at deciding things, so just because it's mine doesn't mean I have a say in it. My brain's
Oh yeah,
weird
you're
that
good.
way.
I think I've talked about like most of the stuff. I mean, obviously there's nitty-gritty of everything. I could talk forever, but
Yeah, but
I think we hit most of the main points. So,
all right. Hey, if you're happy, I'm happy. So, um, I'll go ahead and say if there's any questions in chat, now's a good time to ask. And until then, feel free to self-promote to your liking.
yeah, if you guys want to follow my Twitch or more importantly, I think sub to my YouTube is the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The my name is spelled funny, but it's in the title. So if you want to just click on that and follow that, my other stuff is linked there. So
Yep.
yeah, follow my stuff. I do a lot of, like I said, Sonic stuff, sometimes Mario, mostly speedrunning or game challenge things. So
Yep.
yeah, more
Links are
stuff.
on.
I'm taking a break soon. I am
Mm.
taking a break soon because I'm going to hit the lab, learn editing and stuff because I've been paying like editors for my videos for a little bit, but it's pretty expensive.
I can imagine.
So um I'm going to try to be everything guy and just like make my own YouTube videos for a little bit and just see if I can get better at it. But to do that, I would like to take a break for a bit from streaming to just like do editing stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
have like some videos that like streams I've already done to make into videos that I can do that for in the meantime. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the break is only going to be like a week or two, but it's
Yeah.
still like I'm not used to taking breaks like that. The only time I have not taken a break from streaming since 2020 except for traveling and from when I got COVID.
Mm.
So,
The grind set. There it is.
the actual grind set.
Well, best of luck, of course.
Thank
Yep.
you. And
All
thank you for
the
having me on, by the way.
Oh yeah, this was good. All the links are to follow are on the stream. They'll be in the YouTube description as well. So hopefully nice and easy to find. And yeah, I'll do my outro, I guess. Thank you for watching. You know, follow the stream, follow the YouTube if you want to keep up with episodes, either watching them live or the full thing after the fact. You can find it all there. Insane. So, but yeah,
Hell yeah.
yep. We can leave it off there. Have a good one and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.